And if they can get themselves in front, they make themselves difficult to beat. So I would probably say the first 15 minutes, because it's just going to be end to end. And I think the tempo of this game is going to be absolutely electric. You talk about the young side that Blackburn Rovers have got. They're not going to stop until they basically fall flat in the face. And I think you've got pretty similar with Leeds United, albeit with maybe a little bit more quality. If you think about the front four that they've got, Somerville and James will be key today. There's no question of that, to provide the service for Pirro and Rutter. But if Smodic is on his game, we could cause an upset today, the home side.
Excellent stuff. Well, coming up at 3 p.m, it's Wolves versus Forest in the Premier League. But now it's Game Day Live here on Talksport 2 as the players approach the tunnel. It's Blackburn versus Leeds here on Talksport 2 with your commentary team, former Sunderland defender Mickey Gray. But first, Nigel Adderley.
Thank you, John. Good afternoon once again. And we have the Championship Manager and Player of the Month here today. But the reality is both clubs are still slightly behind where they'd like to be. Leeds are paying the price for a slow start to the season despite their impressive charge up the table. And while Sammy Smodic has been prolific, Blackburn are still inconsistent with young players and outside the top six. But it is the Championship where nothing stays the same for too long. One thing which is unchanged here today is both of the sides. It's the same Blackburn 11 which lost 3-1 at the bottom club Sheffield Wednesday, although Jon Dahl Tomasson, their coach, is serving a touchline ban, so he will be up with us in the main stand here at Ewood Park. Their team, Leopold Wolstead in goal. The back four, James Hill, Hayden Carter, Scott Wharton and Harry Pickering. Adam Wharton and Sondra Tronstad are in midfield. Andrew Moran, Sammy Smodic and Callum Britton will be behind Harry Leonard. Smodic with 7 goals in 5 games since becoming the captain here at Ewood Park. The Leeds team is Ilian Meslier in goal, Sam Byram, Joe Roden, Pascal Strike and Archie Gray. The back four, Ethan Ampadu and Glenn Kamara in midfield. Dan James, Joel Peru and Crescencio Somerville behind Jorginho Rutter in attack. Patrick Bamford is ill and not on the bench. Ian Poveda is away on international duty with Colombia, so Joe Geldhart and Matteo Joseph both get an opportunity in the matchday squad once again. It is a grey, blustery, damp day here in East Lancashire, but one of the bigger crowds at Ewood Park here this season. They got over 20,000 when they played Preston in the local derby live on Talksport 2 a couple of weeks ago. And Leeds have packed out the Darwen end away to our right-hand side. 7,000 across both of the tiers there. They don't often open the top tier of that stand, but they've had to today due to the numbers of Leeds fans here. And Mickey Gray, we say it every single week, it just gives you an indication of the size of Leeds United. And people say they deserve to be in the Premier League. That's a moot point. You deserve to be where you are on the field of play, but there's no doubt they've got the trappings of the Premier League.
Yeah, absolutely. A one-club city and a very well-supported club. They probably had to dust those seats off, Nige, because they've probably not been used since maybe Leeds United were here last time, or Preston, as you mentioned there before. But yeah, great club. Need to get themselves back into the Premier League, but the hard work starts this season, no question. They get themselves in a good position, but this will be a tough ask for them today against a really young Blackburn side who, I mentioned before, they start games very brightly.
And it's Leeds, wearing all pink, who get the game underway, defending the Darwen end away to our right-hand side. Live Championship action on the home of the EFL, Talksport 2, and it's a big game as well, with Blackburn looking to move back into the playoff places and Leeds hoping to close the gap on the top two. And that gap currently stands at 7 points as Smodic, with the peroxide rinse, Blackburn's man of the moment, the Championship Player of the Month. He is fouled and he slithers on the very wet playing surface here. You were saying before kick-off, Mickey, both teams like to pass the ball, and this surface will be incredibly slick after all that morning rain.
Absolutely. Players will be loving it. The rain stopped, so it's not going in your eyes as you're playing, but there's enough water on that surface to play the style of football that both these teams like to play. We know that Leeds are going to cause problems with Somerville and Dan James on the flanks. Real tough afternoon for James Hill and Harry Pickering. But as you mentioned, Sam Smodic's man of the moment. Got to try and get him involved in the game as quick as he possibly can and get him in the right areas to give Blackburn a chance of winning the game today.
Somerville for Leeds on this near side, crossing the halfway line. He's got support from Peru. James in space away to his right. The ball was inside the fullback, Pickering, but he did well to recover. And Blackburn will try and clear themselves. And it's wide on this near side with James Hill, who is on loan from Bournemouth, but well known in Lancashire following his time in the academy at Fleetwood. Back to Hayden Carter. So many of the Blackburn team are players who have come through their academy or in their early 20s, as Hill brings it forward again now, down this near side there right. Smodics makes the run into the penalty area towards the far post. He's supported by Harry Leonard. Hill eventually drives the cross in, which is blocked by Ampadu, and Blackburn have the game's first corner on this near side.
Well, it's that bright start we expected, certainly from both teams. James Hill got himself into a very good position down the right-hand side. He had that reverse pull back there towards Callum Britton, but opted to try and put the ball in the box. Early corner for Blackburn. I'm just looking at the height of Leeds and how many players. They've got basically every single player back in the 18-yard box. Not seen that before.
And it's a corner on this near side for Blackburn. And it will be taken by Adam Wharton. And he plays it short towards the edge of the penalty area. Now gets it back, swirls it high to the far post, headed away by Ampadu, and it was a dangerous ball in. It was a well-worked set piece, and in the end, Blackburn have another corner.
Great ball, I have to say, from Adam Wharton. It's very difficult when that ball's coming back to you to whip it into an area first time with your left foot. I don't know if you've ever seen that before, Nigel, but every single player for Leeds United is back defending.
Well, when they do that, when they clear, of course, it will come straight back. Now Callum Britton. Where's number 2 for Blackburn, but plays on the right-hand side of midfield. Smodics with a dangerous cross into the penalty area, into that corridor of uncertainty, and it's flicked away on this near side by Rodon, and it will be a throw-in for Blackburn, who have dominated the opening 3 minutes here.
Yeah, certainly. I mean, the two great balls they put into the box from either side. First one, Adam Wharton, and now Sammy Smodics with his left foot, crying out for somebody just to poke a foot on it.
Hill with a long throw into the near post, and it's fisted away by Meslier. Leeds struggling to get the ball clear, and eventually it's up towards Ruta, and Ruta now has the opportunity to try and turn on this near side. Turns into trouble though, and it's a good challenge which comes in from Moran, and it will be a throw-in for Leeds on this near side, and Adam Farker's team have barely got started.
Yeah, very difficult for Leeds United to try and get any rhythm in the game as of yet. Always talk about this start that Blackburn make. Been here too many times this season to see how they approach games on the front foot. You just hope that they can keep those standards up, because again, started the game so brightly.
Now the early ball forward, looking for Ruta, who will chase towards this near side, but he's just unable to keep the ball in play in front of the Blackburn fans in the Ronnie Clayton Blackburn end away to our left. And unlike the other end of the stadium, the top tier of that stand is closed, with a couple of huge tarpaulins across many of the light blue seats. And Blackburn tend to average around 12,000 home supporters, so as a result, this ground, which was built when they were heading up towards the top of the Premier League, is rather sparsely populated, as Blackburn bring the ball away with a good deal of style though. Moran wide towards the far side. Pickering plays it forward towards Tronstadt. The early ball in, looking for Smodics, who's just unable to get the crucial touch at the near post. The flag has been raised though for offside against Smodics, but it was a sweeping, expansive move from Blackburn, and Smodics just unable to apply the finishing touch.
Well, I've got to say, Nigel, Blackburn Rovers are an inch away from probably scoring the goal of the season in the Championship. It was fantastic football from their own area. One-touch football over on the right-hand side, drifted over to the left-hand side. Super ball into the box yet again. And Smodics just reaching out with that right foot. Couldn't get quite any contact with it. But if he did, what a goal that would have been.
Still Palace 0, Liverpool 0 over on Talksport. Game day live from Selhurst Park there today. Commentary with Scott Minto and Sam Matterface on that game. If you download the Talksport app, you can swipe between the two commentaries. Also goalless in the other game currently underway in the Championship at the Stadium of Light. Managerless Sunderland up against West Bromwich Albion. And in the Women's Super League, Aston Villa, thanks to Danielle Turner, have taken the lead at Manchester City. Would be surprised if it stays like that. And it's back with Meslier, the Leeds goalkeeper, defending the goal away to our right, wide towards the Leeds far side and Rodon, but he turns back in field under pressure from Smodics, and now Mellier's got time to pirouette on the ball outside his own penalty area, slid in towards Kamara. Kamara, though, is quickly challenged by Tronstad, the Norwegian, taking on the Finn. And it's the Finn, Kamara, who comes away with the ball. And now it's Joe Roden charging forward in towards Ruta. Piru on the edge of the penalty area. Piru, though, just checks his run to stay onside. So it's wide towards Somerville. Somerville in towards Ruta again. Somerville on the edge of the penalty area, but the challenge comes in, and it's a good one, and it will be quickly cleared away by Blackburn, but it's gathered again by Strike on this near side.
Well, Leeds' best play, no question of that. And the ball fell to Somerville after that little give and go. I just wondered whether he could have took the shot on. Tried to chop it back onto his left foot when I thought he had that half a yard just to test Wallstead in that Blackburn Rovers goal. But they've got to try and slow the game down at some point, Leeds United, because it's played at the moment so frantic from either team, and Blackburn Rovers certainly have the better of it. I just wonder whether Leeds, just for the next couple of minutes, maybe try and take the sting out of the game a little.
Now, Matt Donoghue, the referee, is just checking on Jorginho Ruta, who was down following a challenge on the halfway line. Leeds did get the free kick. 7 minutes played here on Talksport 2. Blackburn 0, Leeds 0 in the Championship on the home of the EFL, as Leeds look to come forward again with Kamara in towards Peru, who is such a clever player with his back to goal. And now Rutter almost plays it wide towards Somerville, but it's funneled back towards Wallstead, the Swedish international, in the Blackburn goal. A long ball played forward for them beyond Leonard and guided back by Rodon towards Meslier once again. Mickey Gray, the former Blackburn and Leeds left back, with us here on Talksport 2 today, as it's cleared away inside the centre circle by Ampadu for Leeds, and now Kamara, and Ruta did well there to draw Hayden Carter into the challenge. A challenge from behind. It's a free kick, and Matt Donoghue will at least have a word.
Yeah, he's just having a little word there with Hayden Carter. Maybe just to tell him to calm down a little bit, but the way the game started, just hope that he doesn't put his hand in his pocket early in the game, because it's going to be a physical game, no question of that.
In fact, we've had a late change of referee. Bobby Madley is in charge here today. And Leeds have the free kick. And Ampadu works it wide towards this near side. And Gray. And Leeds have got plenty of fluidity in this team. Byram is calling for the ball on the left, and Archie Gray, who started the season as a holding midfielder but is now playing as a right back. And where would you see his best position?
Well, you've got similar with Callum Britton as well, Nigel, haven't you, for Blackburn Rovers? He started as a right back, playing as a left midfielder as well. But look, I think when you've got that amount of ability and you're a young man, if the manager says to you, you're playing in the first team, you don't care where you're playing. You just want to be out there, you want to soak up the atmosphere, you want to get that first team feel. And that's what he's doing at the moment. He's just enjoying his football. But I think with the ability that he's got, you probably see him eventually probably fitting into that midfield area. A lot of players do that these days, though, as well, don't they? I mean, you've got certain players, you know, even in the Premier League as well, versatile players that can play in numerous positions. Must be great for a manager.
And Archie Gray, son of Andy, nephew of Eddie, really steeped in Leeds United history, as it's guided back by Strike towards Meslier. 10 minutes played here, 0-0 at Ewood Park, and neither goalkeeper has had a shot to save so far. Hill will try and head it back towards Wallstead, and he's done well under pressure from Somerville.
Yeah, he's done very well. He's made some great tackles, I have to say, so far in the game, James Hill. He's cut things up, started moves off for his side, Blackburn Rovers, but again there, when called upon in a 1v1, just headed it back calmly to his goalkeeper. Looked like he didn't have enough pace on it, but talked about that skid on top of the grass. It's just got it back to his goalkeeper, so no pressure.
Kamara tries to win it back from Tronstad. Good tussle between them so far in the game, but Tronstad finds Smodic quickly forward towards Moran, who was looking to gather the ball in stride at some pace down the centre, but it was an excellent recovery challenge. And now James tries to play it further wide for Byram, but the ball is overhit. And the pitch falls away very quickly on this near side at Ewood Park, and the ball scoots away for a throw into Blackburn.
Well, I've talked about that physicality. What a super challenge from Rodon. When you can see Blackburn are trying to play through the lines, lovely football, but it's that final pass. Rodon reading the situation, absolutely fantastic.
And Blackburn have it again now with Hayden Carter. Wide to Hill. Hill has got support on the outside from Moran, who was really impressed here, the 20-year-old, on loan from Brighton, Republic of Ireland, under-21 international. And that really is Blackburn's model, to try and sign young players. Ampadu's ball forward, it's deflected almost into the path of Peru, and it's brilliant defending from Carter on the edge of the penalty area. Had he mistimed that, it could have been a penalty and a red card.
Absolutely superb. I mean, how many times have we seen it so far in the game? Centre-halves, last-ditch challenges. But after that little slight deflection, Hayden Carter read the situation, slid in, made a super challenge.
Wharton now plays it forward. It's wide on the far side, and Blackburn will try and work it into the penalty area. Wharton again, a 19-year-old who has really taken the eye as well. One of two brothers in the team. Scott Wharton, of course, plays at the back. He's the elder player, but often he's found himself overshadowed by his younger brother.
Yeah, he certainly has. Wonderful player, Adam Wharton is.
Now Hayden Carter encouraged to shoot by the crowd. He does. It's deflected and it loops over the crossbar for another Blackburn corner.
Yeah, not bad again, this from Hayden Carter at the opposite end of the pitch this time, centre-half. Seen that little half a yard, why not? Take the shot on, little deflection. Side now got another corner. And again, Leeds United got every single outfield player back in their own 18-yard box. I've not seen this before, whether it's if the Meslier comes off his line and he plucks one out of the sky, whether you've got 4 or 5 Leeds United players bursting their gut to try and get out.
But Blackburn have still got 3 players outside the penalty area.
You're right, Nigel. And this is what surprises me. I mean, Smodics will probably end up going to the edge of them. He's looking as if he's not interested right now. This could actually get played to the edge of the box. Seen it many years ago when I was here with a player called Two Guy who used to do this every single week. It looked like he was going to score, but Leeds, sometimes you have too many bodies in the box.
Wharton plays it short to Smodics on the edge of the penalty area. Right foot shot from him, pings off the head of Strike, and it was goal bound, and it was the move that Mickey called. And now Wharton again on this near side, all the way back towards Tronstadt, and he's got time to control and find Scott Wharton. And a long ball forward from him, and Adam Wharton has recently signed a new long-term contract here along with Sammy Smodics, and you would imagine they've inserted some fairly hefty release clauses, particularly for Adam Wharton, who at 19 years of age looks to be a Premier League player in the making.
He's a talent. A lot of people talking about him, Nigel. I think there's a speculation from a lot of Premier League sides, so absolutely get him penned down. This club needs to make money.
Rutter looking to break into the penalty area for Leeds down the left, but he's challenged by Wharton. He's gone down again, Rutter. Blackburn do concede the corner, but Rutter, after that earlier challenge, is just hobbling around a bit, which will be a concern for Daniel Farke.
He's in the wars a little bit, isn't he? You see he's lively. He's getting into some really good positions, but just stayed strong. Scott Wharton there, great defending.
Corner for Leeds on this near side, swirled high to the far post, headed away by Carter. Kamara square towards Somerville, right foot shot from him, not too far wide across the penalty area.
Very good strike, I have to say, from Somerville. Couldn't quite get his body set. He was waiting for the ball just to land perfectly for that half volley. Tight angle eventually, but snapshot. Just caught Wallstedt a little bit on his toes there. Unfortunately for him, ball goes wide.
Still goalless at Selhurst Park in the Premier League over on Talksport, and also goalless at the Stadium of Light as well. We'll get Mickey's views on the departure of Tony Mowbray at Sunderland in a quieter moment. But Tronstadt coming forward now for Blackburn in towards Smodics, and Smodics has got time to turn and play it wide to this near side, and Hill, who will try and break into the penalty area, just held up by Byram and forced wide, but back again now towards Tronstadt again, and it's worked into the penalty area by Moran, but Leeds are able to clear on this occasion. And Somerville, short sleeves and gloves on a bitterly cold day, finds Kamara, and now Somerville again in towards Rutter, and Kamara with an excellent ball forward looking for Peru, but Wallstedt, the goalkeeper, was alert to the danger, and some way outside his box he's able to clear the ball away, but Peru was offside.
I was just wondering when that flag was actually going to go up. From where we're watching the game from, Nigel, it certainly looked like Peru had ran into an offside position. Great through ball, I have to say, but you could always see he was always drifting into that offside position. But again, Leopold Wallstedt on the edge of his 18-yard box. Sweep the keeper, we used to call it. don't really see it too much now. They just want to be a centre half, don't they, and get involved in the play. But very good play from the goalkeeper. But talked about the game being open, and I knew it would be. Leeds United is starting to grow into the game a little bit now after this really bright start from Blackburn Rovers, and who's going to be clinical when they get those big opportunities in front of goal.
16 minutes played here. It is Blackburn 0, Leeds 0. We have an opportunity for James now. An error inside the penalty area. James has been caught right on the edge of the box, and Bobby Madley has given the free kick. It was Moran who initially gave the ball away, and it was his challenge on James which has given Leeds a real chance.
Yeah, it's a big opportunity this. A mixed mistake there from Andu Moran. He just tried to play the ball out to his left-hand side and didn't really get any purchase on his pass, which give Leeds United the opportunity. And Dan James is going to grab that with both hands, no question. Little drift to the right-hand side. You could see the contact was there. The referee, Bobby Madley, tried to play on, but he's done the right thing by pulling it back, 20 yards out. Great opportunity for Leeds United.
Well, Somerville and Peru are over the free kick here for Leeds. And Blackburn have pulled every single blue and white half shirt back to defend this. We have Wolves against Forest coming up with Ian Danta and Perry Groves at 3 o'clock on Talksport 2, and straight after that we have the third one-day international live from Barbados, live and exclusive. The West Indies against England. The series currently level at 1-1, and we will have the decider with Mark Butcher and the team from 5:30. Peru curls in the free kick, it's deflected and it's just wide. I thought that was in, and so too did Joel Peru, because Woldstead, the goalkeeper, was rooted, but the deflection carries the ball inches wide.
Well, you could see Woldstead was just basically planted on his heels after the deflection. He couldn't do anything about it, and he was just hoping and praying that that ball was going to go wide of the post.
James will take the corner on the far side. It's an outswinger this time, flicked towards goal, and in the end it's hammered away by Wharton. And now Blackburn do have the chance to clear, but the ball forward from Moran on this near side will drift straight out of play, and Leeds will have the throw-in. 18 minutes played, and suddenly they are in the ascendancy, Mickey.
Yeah, and this is the problem I've seen with Blackburn Rovers throughout the season, is they start games brilliantly for the first 15 minutes. If they don't get themselves in front, it looks like, or it feels like, the next 15 minutes seems to be a big problem. It's kind of throughout the whole of the 90 minutes, they go through spells of playing great football, but then they have this 10 or 15 minute spell where they look like they're going to concede goals. And at the moment, Leeds United growing into the game, and they're the side that certainly look on top right now.
And Joe Rodon has the ball for Leeds on the edge of their own penalty area, square to Pascal Strike. Leeds currently 7 points behind Ipswich, but on a run of 6 wins and a draw since the 1-0 loss at Stoke, and they're currently unbeaten at home, where they've won their previous 7 games, as the rain begins to come down a bit more heavily now at Ewood Park. And they have won at both of the top 2, Ipswich and Leicester. And they travel to Sunderland on Tuesday, and that game will also be live on Talksport 2. But Blackburn have an opportunity here. Leonard in pursuit of a long ball forward, but Pascal Strike just got a touch on that, which was enough to send it back towards Meslier to clear downfield.
What a ball from Harry Pickering, from left back over to the right-hand side. Just kept his eyes on it all the way.
And Callum Britton in pursuit of a ball forward. Now, Meslier was going to pick that ball up, but then realised it was outside the penalty area, so had to quickly control it and then dribble it back in field.
Yeah, it was very bizarre, wasn't it, there from William Meslier, as if he didn't realise that he was just outside of his own 18-yard box. Went down to pick the ball up, then realised that it was outside of his box, and he couldn't do that, and had to touch it with his feet to get it back into his 18-yard area. But that's what he does sometimes. He's got a mistake in him, hasn't he? We saw that so many times in the Premier League last season, and you just hope that he learns from it.
He's had 6 clean sheets in 19 games so far this season. And we really do have a squally shower now here at Ewood Park. You can see the rain being whipped up by a very strong wind, which is currently coming in from behind the Darwin end, from right to left, right across the pitch. We almost got blown in from the car park, which is at that end of Ewood Park earlier on today. as Ampadu brings it forward now for Leeds. 21 minutes played, and it's still goalless here, but conditions are worsening. Roden looking for the run of Archie Gray, who was forward down the right, but he closes down the clearance from Britton, and it will be a throw-in to Blackburn on the far side. Blackburn, 9 wins, 1 draw and 9 defeats. They've scored 32 goals, but they've also conceded 31, and they've not had a draw since a 2-2 at Rotherham on the 12th of August. And of course they didn't draw any of their first 27 games last season, and then had 4 in a row. And they've not drawn here with 4 wins and 5 defeats.
Never a dull moment, Nigel, is it, when you play for Blackburn Rovers?
They are not the Pool's punter's friend.
Absolutely
if
not.
If the Pools still exist, I'm not quite sure. My dad always used to do them, along with Spot the Ball. Now Somerville on this near side for Leeds again. And he was just caught there. A late challenge by Moran. And there was a coming together as well. Moran has actually stayed down. The referee didn't give a free kick. I think had he done so, it would have been a free kick for Leeds, but he tried to play the advantage.
Yeah, I think Andrew Moran just basically blocked Somerville's run there and maybe caught one in the mush a little bit. I think there was too much malice in it, to be honest with you, which is why Bobby Madley's probably tried to play on, but seeing Moran on the ground, I think he had to get one of the players just to kick the ball out of play, but we're back underway. Moran's back on his feet, and so far so good. The game's been excellent.
And we have more live action coming up on Talksport 2 throughout the week. Big game, the top 2 in League 1 on Monday night. Pompey against Bolton. Live and exclusive commentary from Fratton Park with Alex Crook and Sam Parkin. Then on Tuesday night, Adrian Durham, Scott Minto and Mickey will be around the grounds from 6 o'clock on Talksport 2, 7 o'clock on Talksport, with all the goals as they go in. Big night in the Champions League, particularly for Manchester United, who've got to win at home to Bayern Munich and hope results go their way elsewhere. Sunderland against Leeds will be live with Mark Wilson and Chris Awelamo over on Talksport 2. And here on 2 as well on Wednesday, 5:45, Ian Danta and Stuart Pearce will bring you Red Star Belgrade against Manchester City. And Leicester against Millwall will also be on Talksport 2 at 7:45. Jim Proudfoot will be alongside Dean Ashton for that one as Blackburn try and play out deep inside their own penalty area. It's won back by Somerville, and the cross from about 6 yards out from Rutter evades Dan James at the far post. And why didn't Jorginho Rutter shoot?
I just don't understand what Blackburn Rovers are doing first and foremost, Nigel, because they've got an opportunity to clear the lines. Scott Wharton and Hayden Carter, just clear your lines as a centre-half. If you've got nobody to play to, get it up the field. They try and play a ludicrous pass across the 6-yard box. They give the ball away. Credit to Somerville and Rutter because they stay alive. Somerville, I think he tries to score. He just dinks it over the top of Wallstead, but it's going wide. It's just got a little bit too much pace on for Rutter to try and get on the end of it. But what a let-off for Blackburn Rovers.
Byram, it's a long ball over the top again. And Wharton will go all the way back towards Wallstead. And Blackburn try and play out again. Pickering, though, played under pressure on the far side. And in the end, the challenge does come in from Dan James, but it's out of play for a throw into Blackburn. But you can hear the encouragement from the Leeds fans away to our right, because their team are bang on top at the moment. But with 25 minutes played, it's still 0-0.
Yeah, they are. They're certainly looking for that one opportunity, although Blackburn are on the break themselves right now.
Leonard on the far side. The challenge comes in from Pascal Strike. The Blackburn fans in the Riverside stand over on that far side were looking for the free kick. And I'm not sure what Bobby Madley has given here.
Yeah, I'm not sure either, Nigel. I mean, whether it looks like Strike initially has got contact with the ball, but the way that Leonard has stayed down on the ground, you're just wondering whether there was any contact with his knee afterwards.
No, it's a throw-in.
Yeah, I don't think there was too much in it. I think it's just a great challenge, isn't it? And just because it's in front of those Blackburn supporters, it maybe heard themselves a little bit loud just to say, look, there's any chance of giving us a foul here.
Smodics with a crossfield ball, which was cut out by Somerville, but Blackburn quickly have it back, and Smodics was scampering into the penalty area as the ball rebounded from Moran, but in the end, it's gathered by Meslier. He quickly clears downfield, and Leeds are being fairly direct here, and I think they do have the wind at their back, so maybe that's not the worst policy at the moment, but it's been won back well by Blackburn. Smodic's now deep into the penalty area down the right, but he runs into Rodon, but it's quickly controlled. Back to goal from Wharton inside the area, but in the end, it is cleared away by Leeds, and that came from another Leeds mistake, trying to play the ball out. It was a challenge from Adam Wharton, and Smodix was almost in, but now Rutter at the other end just gets his feet in a tangle, but still evades the challenge of Hill. And Leeds here are 4 players forward. It's wide towards Dan James inside the penalty area. Low shot from him. Brilliant finish from Dan James. His brilliant form for Leeds United continues. And Leeds are ahead at Ewood Park with a classic breakaway. Rutter was strong in the challenge. He found James. He had so much support, but James drilled in from wide on the right-hand side, and it's a goal that Leeds deserve. And that gap between themselves and the top 2 could be shortening this weekend. It is Blackburn 0, Leeds United 1.
Well, we said they were getting stronger in the game, Leeds United, and they've certainly punished Blackburn Rovers from one end to the other within the space of 3 or 4 seconds, and the ball finds its way in the back of the net. Sam Smodix had a great opportunity, he just couldn't work his feet out quick enough to work that angle. They then break Leeds United through Rutter, gets a little bit of good fortune in Blackburn's half, falls perfectly to him, and he knows he's got Dan James out to the right-hand side. A couple of little touches later, he keeps it low. His first shot went wide, this one right in the bottom corner.
Dan James, 7th league goal of the season, but his first away from home. And Leeds a goal up. Bobby Madley just delaying the restart here. And Jorginho Rutter deserves so much credit there. He could have gone down in the challenge with Hill, may have got a free kick, but stayed on his feet. And from that moment, Blackburn were always under pressure.
Yeah, absolutely, and I always say that, Nigel. If you're a forward player, why go to ground if you've got a chance of scoring goals?
Now at the other end, an opportunity for Leonard. He goes down in the box, and it was Strike who made the challenge, and a goal kick has been given in the end.
Not for me. No penalty for me. I mean, Harry Leonard's done very well. He's got his body in front of Strike there, but I think there was a slight little bit of contact. But if you're a centre-half, you've got to kind of lean on the forward player. If you find yourself in a sticky situation, I think that's all that was there. But for me, that wasn't a penalty.
Blackburn 0, Leeds 1. Leeds with 5 shots in the game so far. That's their first on target. Blackburn with only 2 efforts, both off target. Meslier again taking a chance inside the penalty area, closed down by Leonard, but he manages to squirt the ball out to Rodon on the far side, but he was under pressure from Smodix, and it will be a throw into Leeds in the end. It's half-time in the Women's Super League at the Academy Stadium. Manchester City 0, Aston Villa 1. Still goalless in the Premier League between Crystal Palace and Liverpool over on Talksport, and also at the Stadium of Light in the Championship in the match between Sunderland and West Brom, as Leeds streak forward again now with James on the far side. He's got 3 waiting for the pullback, and it was Rutter at the near post who fails to get the touch, and the ball went right through the 6-yard area. That should have been 2-0.
Well, it's a brilliant ball, and what a fantastic run from Dan James. Looked like he was second best all the way, and here he goes working hard for his team to bring the ball back again. I mean, it's such an end-to-end game of football. Pickering making a mistake in that left-back position, thinking that his centre-half was going to pick the ball up. Dan James, with the pace that he's got, he's put a beautiful ball in for Rutter.
Now Hill with a high ball in, Smodix with a looping header, but it's over the top. Smodix with 7 goals in 5 games, the Championship Player of the Month, but off target on this occasion.
I think that's a brilliant chance. Nigel, I don't know if you agree with me here. Hill's put a lovely ball into the box, gets in front of his marker. Archie Gray, I think it is, over in that right-back position. But when you get there, the form that Sam Smodix has showed this season, I think he's got to be favourite, no question, just to keep that down. Yes, it's a difficult header, but he's in a really good position to test the goalkeeper.
Andrew Moran was shown a yellow card for that earlier challenge, by the way, on Crescencio Somerville, as Somerville now plays the ball in field to Kamara. He looks to pick out Byram on the overlap down the Leeds left, but it's cut out, and here is Moran again fighting Tronstad. Tronstad losing out though to Ampadu on the stretch, who tries to play it wide to this near side in Somerville, but the pass was miskicked, and the rain now is absolutely teeming down. And if you are on your way to a game today, it is worth checking with the clubs before you get there. There are games off already in League Two at Barrow, Bradford, Forest Green, Mansfield and Sutton. And that list may lengthen between now and 3 o'clock. We had the bitterly cold temperatures, the frozen pitches last week, and a different sort of weather issue today as Blackburn come forward again. A high cross into the penalty area, sliced by Roden onto the roof of the netting, and Blackburn have a corner.
Well, again, end-to-end football. Absolutely fantastic, and I think it's Scott Wharton who's just burst down the left-hand side. Centre half for Blackburn Rovers. When you think that Leeds are going to maybe capitalise and add to the lead that they've already got, it's then Blackburn that starts showing a little bit of quality. Good play. Just nearly dipped in underneath that crossbar. Meslier had to watch it over the top of his crossbar. And again, another opportunity from a corner from Blackburn Rovers.
And there is some crowd trouble on the far side as play continues. The corner is played into the penalty area. There is a disturbance in the Riverside stand at the end of the stadium at the Darwin end as Smodics comes forward now to find Hill for Blackburn. A low ball into the penalty area. It's cleared away by Ampadu. It will be another corner, but stewards and police officers are converging on the area of seats, which is just by the scoreboard on the far side, which is in between the Darwin end and the Riverside stand. And there has been a disturbance in there, and now various people are being carted away. Now an opportunity for Blackburn from the short corner. Moran's ball in has been cut out. Somerville tries to challenge Tronstadt, and in the end it was untidy defending from Leeds, and it's going to be a handby strike for a corner.
Well, I talked about those 15 minutes, Nigel, that Blackburn half, they start well, then they just switch off a little bit. Well, now we're into the final 15 of the first half. They look like they're on it again, playing some super football, putting pressure on this back line of Leeds United. Just need that bit of quality in front of goal.
Leeds lead by a 1-0. Wharton with the corner, high into the penalty area. Meslier is nowhere near it, and in the end it's scrambled clear. Wharton will try and return the ball back in, but it's one back again on this near side. There's a Leeds player down with a head injury inside the 6-yard box, so play will be halted. There are now more stewards around the area, which had the brief scuffling a few moments ago. And there are people still being taken out of the stadium underneath the scoreboard on the far side. And more police are now arriving in that area of the ground as the Leeds player, which I think with Ethan Ampadu, is back on his feet. But Leeds do not convince when defending set pieces, Mickey.
No, they don't. They certainly look a little bit shaky, don't they? And I touched on it. Maybe that's one of the reasons why they get every single outfield player back into the 18-yard box.
But maybe that means players don't take responsibility.
Yeah, and if you watch it as well, Nigel, from what we've seen, it's half zonal, half man marking. Now, they look as if they've got 5 or 6 players who are just free and waiting for the ball to come into their area. And if it doesn't, they don't really know what they're doing.
James now with another burst of pace down the centre. But the challenge comes in this time. Byram tries to win it back. Somerville down the left for Leeds, plays it in field, but it's gathered by Tronstadt and played all the way back to Walstead, who has been exposed by Blackburn's high line on 1 or 2 occasions, but has done well so far. Had no chance at all with the goal from Dan James, his 7th of the season. 10 minutes to play in the first half. Blackburn 0, Leeds 1. Byram coming forward for Leeds, wearing all pink and very much in the pink at the moment. Now Ampadu back to strike on the halfway line. Further square to Joe Roden. He will turn back though. He saw that Smodics was in the vicinity, but Leeds are in control of this game at the moment in terms of the scoreline, apart from moments when they have to defend set pieces. Still goalless at Selhurst Park over on Talksport in the Premier League, and also at the Stadium of Light in the Championship. Somerville on this near side, back towards Kamara, and now Strike has got the opportunity to bring the ball forward for Leeds United once again. And James now popping up down the left, and he's got Somerville just inside. The ball was intended for Somerville, but it's cleared straight back to James, and Blackburn with some rather indifferent defending on the far side. Then it's Scott Wharton who just turns and hammers the ball out of play. He and Carter not really on the same page there, and Leeds have a throw-in on this near side.
Well, we've got both sides really look a little bit shaky defensively, don't they? I mean, Leeds United are starting to control the game now with the, let's say, the added quality that they've got in their starting 11, but there's no question that both defences are there to be got at, and that little bit of quality in the final third, as we've seen with Dan James. We've seen it in front of us right now, just giving the ball away. Scott Wharton with nobody around him.
Rutter with the cross into the penalty area, and it's Carter who manages to clear. Byram heads it back into the Leeds half, where Strike will gather, and it's Strike who now finds Byram again on this near side. Blackburn 0, Leeds 1 on Talksport 2 with 7 minutes to play in the first half. It's flicked in field by Somerville again, but now Hill has the opportunity to bring it forward for Blackburn, but Tronstad will just check back and find Wolstead defending the Blackburn goal away to our left, and the rain now seems to have set in. It is a dismal afternoon weather-wise in this part of East Lancashire, although it seems to be a similar picture across the rest of the country as well. And these two sides met in very different conditions back in July of 2020, the last time here during the Project Restart, when Leeds won 3-1 on their way to the Premier League. And of course they were once regular foes at the highest level. And their last meeting here was in April of 2004 when Leeds won. Mickey was on the field playing for Blackburn. Mark Viduka scored a late winner, and that was Leeds' last win in the top flight for 16 years.
Wow.
But Leeds went down in some disarray, and it took them a long time to regroup, and there was another relegation to contend with as well, as Blackburn try and come forward again with Scott Wharton, but he's looking for support ahead of him, and there's nothing, there's no movement.
Yeah, it's difficult, isn't it? You can see the midfield. I mean, Blackburn have got basically at the moment... Oh, what's going on?
Oh, goodness me, Wolstead, 40 yards from his goal, falls over the ball, and Somerville almost gathered that, and there would have been an empty net, but Blackburn now come forward at the other end with Britton. It's Pickering on the overlap. His low cross is deflected. Moran will keep the ball in play, though, for Blackburn. Down their left, measures the cross in, but it's headed away by Strike. And the conditions here are getting worse, but some of the defending has been very slipshod in very slippery conditions.
Well, what a let-off. Leopold Wolstead in that Blackburn Rovers goal. Look, it's great seeing a goalkeeper coming out of his 18-yard box, but you've got to have a picture when you do that, knowing exactly where you're going to play the ball, but basically fell to ground and give Leeds United nearly a great opportunity of doubling their lead. But in seconds after that, the way the game's gone, Blackburn Rovers then break down the other end. Moran gets himself into a good position. It's that final ball basically letting Blackburn Rovers down. But you feel there are more goals in this game. Oh yeah, at both ends possibly. Blackburn have a throw-in which James Hill will take, and he winds up for a long one in towards that near post. Headed away though comfortably by Byram, and Britton is the last man for Blackburn on the halfway line. Then it's back to Leopold Wolstead, who clears long downfield looking for Hill. He's drilled that ball, and it's a good ball taken down on the chest by Hill, but Somerville put on the afterburners to make up the ground between himself and Hill, and he clears, but Blackburn have it back again with Moran now. Right-hand side of the penalty area. He's got support from Adam Wharton. Wharton curls it high to the far post. Meslier comes, and he collides with the Blackburn player, Britton, who was coming in. Meslier is flat out inside the 6-yard area, but a corner's being given. Well, it'll be interesting to see this one again, just to see if Meslier gets any contact with the ball whatsoever, because if he doesn't, it should be a penalty. And I think he does. I think he does get hands on it. It's a lovely ball in from Adam Wharton towards the back stick. And he's trying to grab hold of it, Meslier. He dropped it. Yeah, dropped it. It is a corner. It's the right decision. Well, in real time, Nigel, I'm just wondering whether he'd actually made contact with the ball. But both goalkeepers today look very erratic.
And in front of a large collection of stewards and police officers with their high-vis jackets, very bright on such a gloomy day, Wharton takes the corner into the near post, where it's flicked on by Callum Britton. In fact, it was James Hill who got the final touch, and it's wide, and it will be a goal kick.
Well, that's two-headed opportunities, probably the best opportunities that Blackburn Rovers have had in the game so far. One from Sam Smodics, this one from James Hill. And I just wonder, he's probably tried to leap just to get one ahead of his marker, but has he just leapt a little bit too early? And he's on the way down, so he can't kind of guide the header towards goal, which is very difficult. But I think Blackburn overall, their set pieces and some of the balls that they've put in from wide areas have been very good. But Sam Smodic-Smith, he looks as if he's playing a little bit deeper, trying to get involved in the play a little bit too much in this game, whereas I like to see him burst in a gut to get into the box, creating opportunities and obviously scoring the goals that we've seen from him so far this season. He's going to have to do that if Blackburn are going to get themselves back into this game.
3 minutes to play in the first half on Talksport 2. Blackburn Rovers 0, Leeds United 1. Tomorrow, Talksport brings you live boxing. Chris Billam-Smith defends his WBO World Cruiserweight title to Matthias Masternak at the Bournemouth International Centre. Our team includes presenters Adam Cattrall and Gareth A. Davis. John Rawling will be on commentary duty with the former bantamweight champion Spencer Oliver. Billam-Smith against Masternak tomorrow from 6 o'clock. You can listen on your radio, on the TalkSport app, or watch the show live on the TalkSport YouTube channel. And more football coming up this afternoon on TalkSport 2 with Wolves against Forest with Ian Danter and Perry Groves at 3 o'clock, and then we have international one-day cricket live and exclusive from the West Indies at 5:30. Smodics with a high diagonal ball forward for Blackburn, looking for Leonard, but cut out well by Roden. We've hardly mentioned Harry Leonard, which says a good deal about the service he's received so far for Blackburn.
Yeah, it's been really difficult for Harry, in and out of the team at the moment as well. But the one I'm looking at, and obviously the one a lot of people are looking at, is Sam Smodics, and he's finding good positions, Nigel, but it's either on the left or the right-hand side. It's not through the centre where, when the game opens up, and it's certainly opened up, there's no question of that. That's where I want to see Smodics running through against centre-halves, 1v1 situations, but he needs to show a little bit more of it, certainly in this game.
Blackburn looking for back-to-back home wins for the first time since March. But it's a long shot at the moment, trailing by a goal to nil. They've played some decent stuff in patches, but Leeds have just been a bit more clinical, and really they should be more than one goal ahead in this game. Here is Roden for Leeds again, in towards Peru, who tries to flick it on to Rutter, but it's gathered by Moran. Daniel Farker remains on the edge of his technical area as Peru does well to ride the challenge of Tronstadt. He was fouled, and Bobby Madley waited to see if there was any advantage. None was forthcoming, and Leeds have a free kick in the centre circle. No, Yondal Thomason in the technical area for Blackburn. Damian Johnson, the former Blackburn player, one of your former teammates, is in charge downstairs today.
Yes, he is. I just wonder what effect that will have on this young side. I think when you've got experienced players out on the field, Nigel, it doesn't really cause too much of a problem. But I think certain instances in the game where it might be going against you, which it has been in this game against Leeds United, that's when you look to your manager and you think, right, does he need to change something up for us or give us that little 5% spark?
I've been told that due to the rules and due to the touchline ban, I can't actually interview Yondal Thomason on the touchline after the game, which is where we usually do the post-match interviews here at Eagle Park.
Goodness.
We've got to do it further down the tunnel. And I think, what difference does it make?
Exactly, yeah, the game's finished.
I'm not going to tell anyone.
It's ridiculous.
Now Scott Wharton brings it forward for Blackburn again. And it's his brother, Adam Wharton, who plays it wide to Hill down the right-hand side. And we're into a minimum of 2 more minutes here.
2 minutes added time. 2 minutes.
A high ball played forward again by Carter. Leeds will clear, but Smodics wins it back, and it's wide to Callum Britton down the Blackburn left. Pickering, the fullback, is in support. Now Smodics on the edge of the penalty area. Tries to play it wide towards Wharton, but it's cut out quickly by Gray. And now a high ball back into the penalty area. Leonard with a downward header, but he was offside. It was a comfortable save for Meslier in any event.
Well, again, super ball in from Harry Pickering, and as he whipped that ball into the area, he basically only had Leonard to pick out. And I know he was in an offside position, but I think he has to score. I know it's not going to count, but their quality from wide areas, Blackburn Rovers, when they get there, has been absolutely superb. But they need more than one body to look for, whether it's Smorix, whether it's Harry Leonard, whether it's one of the wide players, Moran on this occasion. Got to get yourself into the area to give you a chance, give your side more of a chance of putting that ball in and getting that equalising goal.
Well, Blackburn, to some ironic cheering from their supporters, get a free kick for a challenge by Jorginho Rutter midway inside their own half. And we have 30 seconds of added time to play in the first half. Final chance here for Blackburn. Hill's low ball forward, though, is cut out by Pascal Strike. And here is the tricky Crescencio Somerville on this near side into Rutter. And back now to Kamara. Ampadu has got Dan James in all sorts of space down the Leeds right. And that's the Welsh link-up for them once again. And now Peru, given room to turn, 25 yards out. Back again towards Ampadu and square to Kamara. Leeds may have to hurry here to get a shot in. It's Somerville wide on the left-hand side. Back in field to Kamara. And there goes the half-time whistle. Leeds ahead. But it's been a fluctuating game. Blackburn have had their moments. Plenty of pressure from set pieces. But Ilian Meslier has not really had a difficult effort to save. At the other end, Leopold Wolstad's had one or two awkward moments and could do nothing about the finish from Daniel James, which divides the two sides so far. Half-time here at a very soggy Ewood Park. It is Blackburn Rovers 0, Leeds United 1.
And you're listening here on Talksport 2. Thank you very much to Nigel Adderley with Mickey Gray alongside Mickey. A calm finish there for Dan James, in great form at the moment. His 7th goal of the season on his 50th game for Leeds United. Yeah,
it was a lovely finish, John. He just had one 5 minutes prior to that he pulled wide, but it was exactly the same. He kept it low and he got a lot of pace on it. But on this occasion, after Rutter's great work, when he played him in a couple of little touches, he knew that the angle was a little bit better for him. It was a little bit closer in on goal. And he basically gave Wolstead absolutely no chance. And at that moment, Leeds were just starting to creep and get themselves on top in the game and probably got their just rewards.
Yeah, they did indeed. Any more on that crowd trouble there? It sounded like it was ongoing for quite a while. Did it clear up eventually?
I think it was after 31 minutes, and there must have just been one Leeds United supporter in that end, and it's just unfortunate, isn't it? Because the game's being flowed. You can hear the atmosphere in the stadium's great because Leeds have obviously got 7,000 supporters here, but it just takes one individual or one silly individual, and then the stewarding over in the corner, which I'm surprised there wasn't a lot. So they got him out of the stand and basically took him out of the ground. And I think from that moment it settled down really, and I think everybody started to watch the game again, thankfully.
Yeah, lots of stewards here doing their pre-match sweep at Molineux, of course. Forest away at Wolves this afternoon, coming up from 3. Just looking at Blackburn there, you said in commentary there, Smorix needs to do a little bit more. He's scored in his last 5 games. Do you think a bit of a team talk and maybe some, refreshing his memory of the things they did in training might help him get better performance in the second half and help Blackburn get back into the game?
Well, yeah, I mean, it's easier said than done from looking from the outside in, John, isn't it? But he's trying to get into positions, and I think he's playing out wide a little bit too much. Put some beautiful balls in from the left-hand side earlier on in the game, but also on the right as well, where I like to see him going through the middle. He's got great feet, he's got great ability to get away from his marker, but that's down to your teammates to pick him out. And I don't think they've done that quite enough in that first 45 minutes. So, yes, certainly something for John Dahl Thomason to have a look at. Maybe just tinker with a few things, but they've got to get him involved in the game.
They have indeed. It's also not the weather, from what you've described, to try things, anything fancy all over the pitch, let alone the goalkeeper very much taking his time there. And Wolstead for Blackburn, and nearly getting in trouble there. And if they'd gone 2-0 down, it would have been pretty much entirely his fault, and lucky to get away with it, and also nearly gave Blackburn a sort of breakaway. Yeah. But when these conditions are like this, you're a former player yourself, you surely don't try anything too tricky.
Yeah, well, certainly if you're a goalkeeper and you're the last man as well. I know he came out of his 18-yard box, but if you feel yourself under pressure, clear your lines. That's what you have to do, and then you think about what you could have done after that. But don't wait until there's 2 or 3 Leeds United players around you, then slip on the ground and nearly make a huge mistake. Because you would have thought at that time, 2-0 down to Leeds United, who were absolutely flying, got a very good away record of late as well. I think they've won 3 or 4. It would have been game over. But now going down the tunnel at half-time, Blackburn Rovers, only 1 goal down, come out in the second half, bright and breezy for the first 5 or 10 minutes, give yourself a chance of getting back in the game.
Yeah, ridiculous. I wouldn't have tried that if I was a goalkeeper. Anyway, thank you very much for joining me here to discuss that. Nigel Adderley and former Sunderland defender Mickey Gray will be back very, very soon with second half commentary. Don't forget, later on Talksport, the big decider in the one-day international series between the West Indies and England. England had won the second game, so they are technically on a winning run. The first time for a very long time after that World Cup campaign is the decider. It's live from the Kensington Oval in Barbados, one of the most iconic cricket grounds in the world, and you'll hear exclusive coverage after our Premier League commentary here at Molineux finishes around about 5 p.m. this afternoon. You're listening to Talksport 2 Game Day Live, and next up we will look ahead to our Premier League commentary here at Molineux. It's Wolves versus Forest.
Talksport 2, official broadcast partner of the English Football League.
Catch a More Card exclusive this Christmas at Morrison's. Our fishmongers are serving fresh whole salmon at just $6.99 a kilo, down from $7.99 a kilo. More of a merry Fishmas. Majority of stores subject to availability. Excludes online. Ends 31st of December.
Just imagine what your best Christmas ever would sound like.
Thank you for calling National Lottery. I can see you're calling about a winner today. Is that correct?
Yeah, I think I have. I just need to double check before I do a cartwheel.
Yeah, I can confirm that you have won the top prize, 1.2 million.
Oh my word! Happy Christmas! What do I do now?
You have the best Christmas ever.
Gotta have faith.
This Christmas, it could be you. The National Lottery. Rules and procedures apply. Players must be 18 or over.
Ding dong, maverick on high. Magic Mike's bells are ringing. Ding dong, Shazam in the sky. And Spider-Man is swinging.
Upgrade to Sky Cinema for more of the latest blockbusters like Top Gun Maverick, Magic Mike, The Last Dance, Shazam, Fury of the Gods, Fast 10 and Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. 2 free View Cinema tickets a month and Paramount Plus. Sky Cinema.
10 movies made Christmas.
That's good value.
Sky TV contract and Paramount Plus setup required. View tickets valid Sunday to Thursday. Limits and restrictions apply. See sky.com for terms.
At E.ON Next, we believe life's better when you know you can choose a fixed energy tariff where you'll be safe in the knowledge of what energy price you're paying for the duration of your contract. We think that makes energy a little bit better. And that's why we're always working towards helping you get more out of your energy. So visit eonnext.com today. T's and C's apply. Smart meter required if eligible. Exit fees apply.
Premier League Darts returns in 2024. Tickets are available at pdc.tv/tickets or search Premier League Darts.
I love Christmas party food, and now Waitrose is offering 3 packs of chilled Christmas party food for the price of 2. Pick up some of those gorgeous smoked salmon eclairs, or popcorn feta with hot honey, or try paneer fries, or even those sticky beef teriyaki skewers. There are lots to choose from. It's a hard choice. That's why your 3rd pack is on us. When the offer is this good, expect a little trouble deciding what to get. Waitrose, food to feel good about. Selected stores subject to availability. Prices may vary in Channel Islands, Little Waitrose and concessions. Cheapest item free, chilled items only.
Talksport 2 is your dynamic destination for all the latest sporting action, featuring live commentary of all the biggest events, including football, PGA golf, horse racing, Premiership rugby, cricket, boxing, and all the big-hitting drama of the NFL. Touchdown! Plus, Talksport 2's official betting partner, William Hill, is always on hand with the insight and in-depth analysis you need. Talksport 2 with official betting partner, William Hill. Get epic value all season with William Hill. 18 plus, begambleaware.org.
Talksport Podcast League. Outspoken with White and Jordan.
Listen to the latest show whenever and wherever you want with Outspoken, the podcast from Talksport.
I still think there's a lot of questions that need to be answered.
All killer, no filler conversation.
Did you say that he should be investigated by trading standards?
That doesn't pull any punches.
Yeah, because he was rubbish.
Outspoken with Jim Mighty White and Lord Simon Jordan.
That's a bit over the top. Well, there we are.
Out now.
Listen or download for free from your favourite podcast portal.
Feel the power and the glory.
Game day.
And he scored. It's a brilliant goal.
Fired up and raring to go.
EFL Game Day Live
on Talksport 2.
To the right, Sarabia is on the hunt. He moves to the edge of the area, slides it through. Lemina is there. They won it. It's stopping drive.
Yeah, the remit was pretty clear. Came in with that in mind. Thought, yeah, I can keep that group up. Let's get to work.
5 minutes to go. Fulham 5, Nottingham Forest now.
Confidence in myself. Couldn't be any more confident than what I am today, you know, and I think that's what it should take.
Send it back to Hudson-Odoi on the angle of the area. He's shaking the shoot, right footed. What a goal! What a fantastic curling finish!
If you're 5% down on your normal level, you will lose any Premier League game. We know that we have to be at our best.
This is Game Day Live here on Talksport 2. Half-time at Ewood Park, Blackburn 0, Leeds United 1. But as you heard there, our commentary game exclusive to Talksport 2 in the Premier League is here at Molineux. It's Wolves versus Nottingham Forest. Alongside me, our commentary duo, Perry Groves and Ian Danter. And the talk about this game leading up to it has all been about Nottingham Forest, and in particular the pressure on Steve Cooper. I was there on Wednesday night. I witnessed the 5-0 drubbing at the hands of Fulham. It does that did kind of feel on Wednesday night that it was potentially Steve Cooper's last game, but he's here. He'll be leading Nottingham Forest out later on. Could this be his last game though, Perry?
I think that if they get beat here today and they get handsomely beaten, I think it will be his last game. And you said about the Nottingham Forest fans, if the players on the pitch showed half the passion that the fans did at the end of the game towards Steve Cooper, then they will be okay. And I'm just looking at their away record. Since they came back into the Premier League, they've only won 2 of their 27 away Premier League games. So that tells you that there's a little bit of a softness and a soft underbelly there about Nottingham Forest. And I've seen Wolves a couple of times this season, and there's spirit in this Wolves team, and they're very well structured under Gary O'Neill, and they've got a lot of pace up front with Hwang Hee-Chang, Cunha and Sarabia. So I think that they're going to have too much going forward for this Nottingham Forest. Probably be a back 5 today.
Yeah, the Forest problem for me, you know, Steve Cooper said it in his post-match press conference on Wednesday that he's had 5 different captains. I say the problem. One of many problems is that he's had 5 different captains this season, and there's been talk of Joe Worrell, who, you know, maybe not be up to Premier League standards, or certainly what Forest are hoping to achieve, with Marinakis hoping to get a top half finish this season, which seems miles away at the moment. But, you know, talk of Joe Worrell, who is the club captain, not being in the first team picture at the moment. It just seems like there's a lot going on behind the scenes, Ian, and that maybe comes out on the pitch, because these players just on Wednesday certainly didn't look like they had any intention of putting in the effort that's required.
But what is clear from the travelling support from the East Midlands is that Steve Cooper is not the problem. Whether he's the solution is another matter, but it's clear, and he was quite embarrassed. He said it, didn't he? He was embarrassed by the songs that were sung in his favour by those that had travelled to Craven Cottage. And that just shows the strength of feeling about... I think there's a realism amongst Nottingham Forest fans, Perry and John. I mean, you're a Forest fan, John, but the idea that you've spent so long waiting to get back to the top flight of English football, having been, you know, a title winner and a European Cup winner, and you're finally back in there. But I don't see that Forest fans have that sense of entitlement yet. Some sets of supporters do. So that there's a desperation to cling on to what you've achieved and try and become a hardy perennial of this division, which is what Wolves are getting towards. You know, they're showing what Forest would like to do, probably, aren't they? But that's the problem. You've got an owner who's notoriously trigger happy, sacked another manager this week, his manager at Olympiacos, and you've got a supporter base that are pretty much to a man and woman saying, don't do it.
He obviously left the game early as well, and very famously, although it's not been completely confirmed, threw his lanyard into a bush on the way out.
That's not a euphemism, is it?
It's not.
So good.
There's definitely a big guy decorating a tree, festive joke there somewhere, but I'll let you make that one.
It's funny, who was following him? Who actually followed him? And I can report that Marinakis has thrown his lanyard into a bush. As if that's the final statement. You say, I've had enough. The lanyard goes.
Moose must have just said, right, I'm tracking this story. Whoever was there for
that
Talksport.
Means the lanyard goes. That means that Steve Cooper's gone.
That's what Patrice Evra did at the World Cup with France, didn't he? Didn't he sling his accreditation into a hedge when France were falling apart? Well, look, Marinakis is a very combustible character, isn't he? We've seen that. But they've had this one issue where it seemed a fait accompli that Steve Cooper was going to go last season, and he didn't. He was actually rewarded with an extension to his contract. So we should rule nothing out, nothing in at this point, should we, Perry?
No, well, this is the worst period I've had since that period. If you remember when about August, September last season, they lost 4 on the spin, and everybody said, as you said there, Dan, that he was going to go, and he actually gave him an extra contract, and that sort of gave a bit of stability. You know, that said to the players, no, I'm backing the manager. At the moment, as you said, there's not that stability at the moment, and thing that's a bit weird, one of those victories we saw early on in the season, Dan, didn't we, at Chelsea?
Yes.
And Nottingham Forest were excellent at Stamford. I mean, Stamford Bridge, they were like all the Chelsea players like herding ferrets, weren't they? They were all over the place. But they showed some resilience, and the two best players defensively that day were Worrell and McKenna. They were putting their bodies on the line, they were blocking shots, no one came into the 18-yard box, it was over my dead bodies, and those are the two that seem to be sort of phased out. So as you said, something doesn't quite fit right, and that is then transpiring on the pitch.
Yeah, very, very obvious. Thanks, guys. We'll talk more, and we'll talk more in depth about Wolves as well before our live commentary here from Molineux. Wolves versus Forest at 3 p.m, but it's time to go back to Ewood Park for the second half. Blackburn 0, Leeds United 1, as we welcome back former Sunderland defender Mickey Gray, alongside your commentator Nigel Adderley.
Thank you, John. And Blackburn are out for the second half. No sign of Leeds yet. Of course, Leeds with that 1-goal lead thanks to Dan James in the first half. Goalless in the other game in the Championship, as we've been saying, between Sunderland and West Brom, although the disallowed goal for Joe Bellingham, which we've just seen at half-time, will certainly be a talking point later on this weekend. A change being made for Blackburn as well, and it's Arnar Sigurdsson who is coming on, the Icelandic international, and Harry Leonard is going off. So will we see Smodics as maybe a false 9 in the second half?
Well, they're going to have to try something different, Nigel. I say they were getting into some good positions in the first 45 minutes, but without any end product. So I think that's probably why the change is there, albeit I think, didn't Harry Leonard, he took a little bit of a knock near the end of the first half, so it might have been forced on John Dahl Thomason. But absolutely, they've got to do something with Sam Smodics. He's the go-to man. They've got to get him into better areas, because I'm seeing him in too many wide positions at the moment. He's going to cause this back line of Leeds United any threat. He's got to get closer to the 18-yard box.
And before we get back underway again, a word about Tony Mowbray, your former club Sunderland. What do you make of his departure?
Well, I was very surprised, I have to say. He was certainly loved it in the northeast. He had a fantastic time under him, and he's got to the point where I think the club have probably thought, well, OK, well, we're going to try and need a change, because they're not in the playoff positions, but he goes with everybody's blessing, because he's been absolutely terrific.
Leeds coming forward now, wearing all pink, attacking the Darwen end away to our right in the second half, leading by a 0-0. Peru finding Roden, who was shown the willingness to carry the ball forward. The rain has eased during half-time, but it's still very damp, very blustery and very cold for everybody here at Ewood Park today. The Blackburn team again is Waldstead in goal, Hill, Carter, Scott Wharton and Pickering the back four. Adam Wharton and Tronstadt holding in midfield. Moran, Smodics and Britton now behind Sigurdsson in attack, and we'll be interested to see how that shapes up for Blackburn the longer the game goes on. In fact, Sigurdsson has taken a position wide on this near side, so Smodics will be the false 9, although of course a genuine 9 considering his goal scoring record in recent weeks. The Leeds side, Melier in goal, the back four, Gray, Strike, Roden and Byram, Ampadu and Kamara, the deepest midfield players, James, Peru and Somerville behind Rutter in attack, and it's Dan James who has scored the only goal so far. 90 seconds into the second half, the crowd here today, Blackburn's largest of the season so far, as they try and play out from deep inside their own 6-yard area, and eventually it is dug out on this near side by Scott Wharton, and here is Smodics looking to bring it forward wide towards Moran. Smodics now will try and get forward as the main central striker. Sigurdsson, who was on loan from CSKA Moscow in Russia, with that shock of blonde hair tied back into a ponytail, very visible on such a grey, dark day here. But the ball doesn't find him, and he demands possession again as Hayden Carter brings it forward. Now Tronstadt wide towards Hill on the far side. Blackburn attacking the Blackburn end away to our left. And the crowd, 20,953, which is the largest of the season here so far at Ewood Park. 7,515 are here supporting Leeds. No surprise, such large numbers have made the trip from over the Pennines and beyond. Now Moran for Blackburn, deep into the penalty area. When it strikes the hand of Pascal Struijk, he slid in. The ball was behind him when it hit his trailing hand, and it's gone behind for a corner.
Well, he's a fortunate boy, isn't he, Pascal Struijk? Oh, look, it's behind him. It's good play from Moran. He knows he's running out of space, and Struijk just makes his body big while he's on the ground. And I think the referee, Bobby Madley's probably had a look at that and think, well, look, he doesn't really know what's going to make contact with his arm because it's behind him. But that was a big shout for the home side, certainly early on in this second half, who've come out and they've got the bit between the teeth.
Well, it's Panto season, and the Blackburn fans were all saying it's handball behind them, and the referee said, oh, no, it isn't. Corner on this near side. Curled high to the far post. Meslier punching under no real pressure. Smodic's on the volley, and it wasn't too far wide.
What a strike. But what a difference it's made. Just that little change with Sigurdsson over on this left-hand side. Smodic's now playing more centrally, which I wanted to see. Finds that little pocket of space. Look, he's 25 yards out. It will be a wonder goal if he gets it on target and finds the back of the net. But the form that he's in, why not? You have to take those shots on. But what a good start for the home side in the second 45.
2 goals in 4 minutes for Lauren Hemp. Manchester City now lead Aston Villa in the Women's Super League by 2-1 with 12 minutes to play at the Academy Stadium. Still goalless between Sunderland and West Brom. And over on Talksport, early stages of the second half at Selhurst Park, and it's goalless as well between Palace and Liverpool. And Adrian Durham will have Game Day Live on Talksport coming up at 2:30. All the goals as they go in. Here on Talksport 2, we have Wolves against Forest from the Premier League. And that's a big game for the Forest manager Steve Cooper today, as we were hearing from Dance and Perry at half-time.
They were out early, Blackburn Rovers, Nigel, weren't they, in this second half? You just wonder, whether John Dahl Thomason's taken the half-time team talk or whether it was somebody else. Just to say, look, we need to be better. Get yourselves out there, get a little bit of a warm-up. Leeds United took their time. They stayed in the warm. They came out. And I think it certainly is the home side who've started the brighter as we've come out, but they're the ones who are going to have to take the risks.
Peru now charging forward for Leeds. Wide towards James on the right. The cross into the near post is cut out by Pickering, and it will be a throw-in in the end for Leeds, right by the corner flag in front of those Legions who have made the journey to support their team here today in the Darwin end. Thrown short to Peru on the corner of the penalty area, down the Leeds right. And now Ampadu, square again to Struijk, who's got time and space to bring the ball forward. And it's left for Somerville. Somerville will jink in field and find Peru. Peru always on the half turn, on the edge of the penalty area. Plays the 1-2 as Somerville. And now it's square towards Kamara. Kamara's got support on the wide from Dan James. And then the challenge goes inside the penalty area, but it was against Sam Byram, who was offside anyway, and it will be a free kick.
Yeah, it's incredible, isn't it? The way that Leeds United set themselves up. You think you're comfortable if you're Blackburn, but 2 or 3 passes later, because of the pace that they've got in those forward positions, they can punish you.
Now it's been given away again by Leeds on this near side. Couple of back heels, almost releases Sigurdsson, but it's regathered by Gray. But then a poor ball across field from Piru, almost gives it back to Adam Wharton. Crunching challenge from him on Ampadu, and Bobby Madley had a look at 2 or 3, let them go, and then gives a free kick to Blackburn.
Well, it's good. I mean, he's basically refereed the game like that, hasn't he, Bobby Madley? He's let play go on, and if there's something happens and he needs to pull it back, then it's exactly what he's done. It's excellent because the game's flowing. It's physical, of course it is, but it's fair.
Britton infield again for Blackburn and Smodicks. Good ball from Adam Wharton, wide towards Moran, down their left. Pickering takes over, back towards Moran, low into Smodicks, 6 yards out, again goes for a back heel. It doesn't come off. Players slipping and sliding all over the place as Sigurdsson wins it back. Now Pickering with a high cross to the far post. Hill shaping for the header, but I think Sam Byram maybe just got something on that, and it loops high into the arms of Meslier, and Joe Rodon is down inside the penalty area and may require treatment here for Leeds.
A bit of a bad minute there for Leeds United, and young Archie Gray couldn't really make his mind up whether he wanted to play out from the back or whether he just needed to clear his lines. Well, he done neither, because Sigurdsson came and nicked the ball off him, and it just gave Blackburn Rovers the opportunity to dink that ball into the back stick. And with the height that Blackburn have got over on that right-hand side, that has to go down again as another opportunity. Look, a difficult header, I have to say. Couldn't really get too much pace on the header. So it wasn't really going to threaten Mesley in that Leeds United goal. But these are the moments where you start to think to yourself, I'm not going to be the one who makes that mistake to let Blackburn Rovers get themselves back on level terms.
Rain teeming down again here. And the floodlights are shining brightly on such a dank afternoon. Now Rutter for Leeds, holding off the challenge and almost plays it through to Somerville, but Hill sliding in to make the tackle. Waldstead with a clearance which bobbles all the way through towards Smodics on the halfway line. Kamara should have cut that out. Now Sigurdsson, but he was never quite set to receive the ball, but he's challenged by a retreating James, and James in the end boots the ball 40 yards behind for a Blackburn corner.
Yeah, very bizarre that, wasn't it? I think he was trying to play the ball back off Sigurdsson to win his side a throw-in or even a goal kick, but hasn't worked out that way. And another opportunity for Blackburn just to keep this pressure on Leeds United.
Corners played short on the far side. Smodics back towards Moran, deep to the far post. It'll be recovered by Carter, the central defender. He allows the ball to drift behind, and it will be another Blackburn corner. 8 minutes into the second half on Talksport 2. Blackburn 0, Leeds 1.
Well, at my count, Nigel, I think I've got that as 9 corners for Blackburn Rovers to Leeds as 2. But there has to be a point where you've got to win that first header and make it count.
Adam Wharton will take it. And again, it's an in-swinger, high to the far post. Hill shaping for it. Good leap, though, by Rodon. His header gets the necessary distance. Somerville will bring it forward. Leeds have got the wind and rain in their faces in the second half as well. But looking at the direction of the rain, that wind must be swirling because it's going all over the place.
Yeah, it doesn't look nice down there, does it? I think we're in the best position, Nigel, aren't we, underneath this stand? Keeping out of the rain, trying to stay dry, albeit it's cold, but the players are running around. They won't care about that. But to the football, Leeds are going to have to work hard if they're going to win this game. Blackburn might run out of steam, as they have done on numerous occasions this season in the last 10 or 15 minutes. But at the moment, they're hanging on to this 1-goal lead.
And injuries have cost Blackburn in recent weeks as well. Sam Gallagher, Dominic Hyam, Ryan Hedges, Tyrese Dolan and Joe Rankin-Costello would all be in the first team, I think, if they were fit. And they're all unavailable to Yondal Thomason. Threaded forward now, though, by Moran to find Sigurdsson. Quickly infield to another blonde-haired player, Sammy Smodics, although he may have had some help with that. Now Pickering on this near side again. Low ball, which is cut out by Ampadu. And Kamara quickly finds Somerville, cutting infield from the Leeds left-hand side. Rutter makes the run down the centre, but Somerville looks to go all the way himself, and he manages to find Rutter, who was offside. And the free kick's been given, and Somerville believed he was fouled there as he slithered towards the edge of the penalty area, but no free kick was given.
I think Somerville's a little unfortunate, I have to say. It's a super run, getting past his marker and then just bursting towards the edge of the 18-yard box. But as soon as you feel that contact on your shoulder, your balance just then goes. He does brilliantly to just flick the ball over to his left-hand side. But Rutter is in an offside position, but Bobby Madley was in the perfect position to say carry on. I thought it was one of the situations where he was going to let it play on and then bring it back for the foul.
Wolves Forest coming up at 3 o'clock here on Talksport 2. Then from 5:30, more live and exclusive international one-day cricket. The deciding one-day international from Barbados between England and the West Indies. The series level at 1-1. Peru brings it forward now for Leeds, wide towards Kamara, on the edge of the penalty area, back towards Peru again. Dan James was unmarked inside the penalty area, but Peru did not get his head up. And now Blackburn will try and clear with Moran. Sigurdsson finding Adam Wharton, and now Sigurdsson again is always demanding movement ahead of him, and he gets it from Smodics, who can break into the penalty area down the left-hand side. Low cross right through the 6-yard area, and if Smodics is crossing from there, you can guarantee there'll be nobody on the end of it there.
Same question I was asking in the first half. Why is Sam Smodics crossing the ball from wide areas? He should be the one that's just poking that ball into the back of the net. It's brilliant play, I have to say, and wonderful movement from Smodics. The lovely little give and go to find that space for him. But he's whipping that ball across the 6-yard box. There's nobody in there waiting just to poke it in the back of the net. It should be him. He's got to get involved in the game a little bit more centrally.
And now Blackburn want a free kick. as Adam Wharton goes down on the far side, but nothing's been given, but Blackburn do have possession with Britton. And now Wharton takes over, further wide to the far side, and Moran, who's been very busy. Now Britton breaks into the penalty area, fires the ball in, but it's side netting. It was a chance.
Certainly was. Callum Britton with that right foot, scored goals of late in the last couple of games. Playing in an unusual position for him, but when he's in there, he's just got to keep his head down. He's just got to try and keep it low. He just tries to take the stitching out of the strike, to be honest with you, when really a little bit more accuracy probably would have done him a lot more better.
58 minutes played. Blackburn 0, Leeds 1 on Talksport 2. And the gap between Leeds and the top two will be 4 points before the games coming up later on today. And there is such a long way to go. Of course, Leeds themselves were reeled in under Marcelo Bielsa back in 2018-19, when, of course, Daniel Farke was somebody who plotted their downfall when he was the Norwich manager. As Leeds have to defend again, but Meslier clears downfield and does well to find Kamara. Somerville, though, loses out, but Leeds do get a free kick for the challenge by Moran on Somerville, but it's wide on the far side.
Yeah, right call. I have to say, Nigel, I think the tempo of the game, you sometimes see it in the first half and then it kind of dips a little bit as the players come out. Certainly not the case in this game. Both sides are going at it. So if the only thought that they've got in their mind is attacking, let's just take the game to the opposition, and what a super game it's been so far.
Crystal Palace have taken the lead against Liverpool over on Talksport. Of course, I predicted a comfortable Liverpool win on the Falls panel on H&J yesterday, so that was inevitable.
And what about that stat? We were chatting at half-time, where 58 passes Crystal Palace had in the first half. But it's about keeping the ball out of your net and how you win a match. And it looks at the moment like they're going to do that.
Commentary continues on that game over on Talksport. Download the Talksport app, go to the live commentary section, and you can swipe between that game and this one. Later on today, at the top of the Championship, Leicester are at home to Plymouth, and a long trip as well for Ipswich, who are away to Middlesbrough. So Kieran McKenna will be reunited with Michael Carrick. They both spent time in the coaching setup at Manchester United. But a Jean-Philippe Mateta penalty for Crystal Palace, and they lead Liverpool still goalless at the Stadium of Light between Sunderland and West Brom. As the ball is gathered away to our right by Leopold Wallstedt, the Blackburn goalkeeper. An hour played here. Leeds still leading by a 1-0, looking for their 5th away victory of the season. They have been beaten away from home by Birmingham, Southampton and Stoke. And they'll be live on Talksport 2 at Sunderland on Tuesday. Rutter holding off 2 or 3 challenges inside the penalty area. He's still got the ball on his left foot. He's found Somerville. Somerville leaves it for Peru, but he's just driven wide by his first touch. But Leeds still have possession on the edge of the box, but Rutter unable to get his feet in order. Ampadu slides in, but he's lost out, and Blackburn can now bring it forward themselves with Moran. And now Smodics finding Sigurdsson. And Sigurdsson will make the run in behind Gray, found by Smodics, but it's cut off by Roden, who has arguably been the man of the match so far, the Leeds central defender.
Yeah, he has been absolutely outstanding. Read the situation on numerous occasions, but I keep saying it, what a game of football. It's just end to end. I mean, brilliant opportunities. 2 occasions for Leeds United to get their shots away. Didn't take those strikes on, and Blackburn win the ball back. Absolutely fantastic. It was Tronstad really strong in that central area. Just needed to take a little bit more care with that final pass to Sigurdsson over on this left-hand side. Got a little bit too much pace on it. But again, it's so end-to-end. We keep saying that the goals are not finished in this game, and you can understand why. Defenders 1v1 situations, we're just waiting for that one bit of quality from a forward player, whether it be from Leeds United or Blackburn Rovers, but it's going to come.
And I wonder how many touches Leeds have had inside the Blackburn penalty area. They've had plenty, but they've not really got the shots away, as Archie Gray is flagged offside on this near side, and it will be a free kick, and Gray will receive a yellow card for kicking the ball away.
Yeah, don't really need to see that, do we? The game hasn't really been played that way.
But
players are just getting
the laws are the laws.
Yeah, they are, Nige. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you can't do it. And I think the players know that themselves.
Free kick, which will be taken by Scott Wharton. 62 minutes played here at Ewood Park, and Leeds still leading 1-0.
I've got the opposition touches in the box. Blackburn have had 21 and Leeds United have had 11.
Only 11?
Yeah.
They had more than an 11 in that most recent move.
Incredible. This could be wrong, Nige. You never know.
Well, it just feels like they've had a lot of build-up inside the penalty area, but very rarely pulled the trigger.
Yeah, it's bizarre, isn't it? They've played some lovely football, but I think Dan James and Somerville have got themselves into good areas, but it's about getting into the box. And look, they've got themselves in front with a super finish from Dan James. And I do think the more the game goes on, they will create more chances, because Blackburn have got to try do something to get themselves back into the game. And I think that's where those touches in the opposition's box will certainly come for the away side.
Well, Blackburn don't draw, so whatever happens in the next 27 minutes or so, it could be dramatic. It's another long ball forward for Blackburn. Bobbles through towards Meslier. And Blackburn do miss that focal point in attack,
they do.
really.
Yeah.
On a day like today as well.
Absolutely. I mean, that's where you go back to Ben Brereton Diaz, albeit I think when he was at Blackburn he liked drifting in from that left-hand side, but Sam Gallagher's certainly one who springs to mind. A big, tall, holds the ball up very well, he's very good in the air, and that's what they're missing. Half a chance here, but Tyrese Dolan, another one who's complete opposite to that, Nigel, isn't he? I mean, what, is he 5'6", 5'7", that low centre of gravity? So absolutely, yeah, something maybe that John Dahl Thomason might look at in the January window to maybe bring in that focal point.
It's going to be a card here for Adam Wharton. It was a late challenge on Ampadu on this near side, and no complaints from the Blackburn midfielder who joins Andrew Moran in the referee's book for the home side. And we have played 20 minutes in the second half here on Talksport 2, and it's still 1-0 to Leeds. And their fans in good voice at the moment away to our right. And it was a very tricky journey for those who made the trip over the Pennines earlier on today. But they'll be enjoying what they're seeing at the moment in terms of the scoreline. Somerville wins it back for Leeds on the far side, but he's closed down by Britton, and it will be a throw-in for Leeds, midway inside their own half.
We've had that one substitution, Nigel, at half-time as Sigurdsson for Harry Leonard, but 65 minutes on the clock now. It seems quite a long time for both managers to make a real change, for somebody to come on and maybe impact the game.
Well, Blackburn are lacking options. They could bring on Niall Ennis, I suppose, as a forward player.
Markande's another one as well they could probably have a look at as well, maybe in those wide areas. But again, it doesn't really change anything that's through the middle of the pitch, and this is why I say Smorix has to get involved in the game more.
It's lifted wide by Adam Wharton towards Hill, down the Blackburn right. The high cross in is not cleared by Strike. Wharton then losing out to Kamara in an aerial duel, but Tronstadt just struggles to bring the ball under control for Blackburn. The pitch has held up really well, considering the amount of water it's had over the last 24 hours or so, and during this game as well. As Britton tries to guide it wide to the far side, and Hill sliding in to make the challenge was Byram, and it will be a throw-in to Blackburn, but Byram has just stayed down, and he asked the officials to delay the throw-in. Blackburn took it quickly, but then Bobby Madley indicated he had stopped play.
Well, if you're Sam Byron, you're thinking that's clever play, because Blackburn Rovers, you could see 2v1 situation over on that right-hand side, wanting to get on with things, wanting to keep the tempo of the game going as much as they possibly can. And Byron obviously still on the pitch, on the ground. He's back on his feet now. There's not a problem with him whatsoever, but tactics, do they come into play at this time of the game?
Well, it's been the sort of day where it's been difficult to implement a game plan consistently because of the conditions.
Yeah, and the game's quite strange, isn't it? No one's really got a stranglehold of it, even from the first whistle. You know, as I mentioned before, Blackburn having a 10 or 15 minute spell. Then Leeds United get themselves on top in the game, and the second half's kind of got that flow a little bit about it. Albeit Blackburn have got to search, and they've got to look for that equaliser at some point in this football match, and maybe even more if they're searching for it. But I think both sides will be quite comfortable with the style of and how the game has gone so far, but Blackburn obviously disappointed because they're a goal behind.
Manchester City have beaten Aston Villa, coming from behind by 2-1 in the Women's Super League, thanks to those other games, or other goals from Lauren Hemp in the second half, as Blackburn come forward now with Hill on the far side. Now Britton with a dangerous cross towards the far post. Smovics was lurking. It's headed behind by Roden for a corner.
Great ball. Super ball in from the right-hand side there from Callum Britton. Just Blackburn players waiting on the far stick there, but taking this corner quickly.
And now it's pulled back by Moore and looking for Smodics at the near post, but Leeds will scramble the ball away. But Blackburn suddenly have found some momentum here with 68 minutes played. Pickering with a cross in, and it's a free header for Hayden Carter. He appeals for a deflection, but it's gone over the top for a goal kick.
Well, they're certainly keeping the pressure on the home side, looking for this equalising goal. Hayden Carter just coming up from the back there. Look, it was a whip ball into the back stick there, but he had to be brave. Yes, he won the header, but it's so difficult from the position he was in to angle that ball into the top corner, to get it anywhere away from Meslier if he possibly could. And I talked about those substitutions. I think Leeds are starting to play their own cards now.
Wilfred Nonto is coming on to replace Dan James, the goal scorer, so a straight swap for Leeds. And Dan James didn't look too happy as he came off, and there will be another change made here, and it's Jed Spence who will also come on. Of course, Leeds have seen him very sparingly on loan from Spurs due to a knee injury. Only his second appearance, and it's Sam Barham who goes off, the player who was injured a few moments ago.
Well, this is going to be an interesting one. Just to see if Jed Spence goes out over onto that left-back position. It looks like he is. I don't know how many times he's played there, but I see him more as a right-back or a right wing-back. Being given an opportunity now to prove to his manager. Got over 20 minutes to do so as well.
Rutter pushes off the challenge of Wharton and now finds Somerville inside the penalty area for Leeds. He cuts back. It's Spence. His first touch. He'll try and hit the byline. Then has to chop back onto his right foot. And he's got support from Kamara. Spence again. Only his second appearance from Leeds, due to those injury problems he's had. Somerville. Square to Nonto. Nonto finds Peru. Peru slips his marker. Almost found Rutter, who was in space down the right, but the pass to him was deflected. But Rutter now has it by the corner flag. Tries to wriggle away from the challenge of Scott Wharton. The final touch was off Rutter, and it will be a goal kick. And we are inside the final 20 minutes here, and it's still 1-0 to Leeds.
Yeah, and it's not bad, is it, when you look at Leeds United's squad, bringing on players like Nonto, international players, Jed Spence on loan from Tottenham, wanting to prove his worth yet again at another club. We know he's done it in the Championship before at Middlesbrough. He's a very good player, good experience as well. I think this is probably why we look at Leeds United as maybe one of the favourites in the Championship to get promoted.
Kamara, always lost out in the challenge on the halfway line. The blue and white half shirts were around him. Ampadu was very late there on Andrew Moran. And it's a free kick for Blackburn. Now an opportunity for Blackburn to try and build again, but they have another free kick. And it was Ampadu who was holding on to Moran again. We'll be off to Molyneux shortly for team news, but Blackburn here have a free kick inside the Leeds half.
Yeah, they've got another opportunity here. You just see Andrew Moran. I think you could see Ampadu was not going to leave him alone until he kind of wrestled him to the ground a little bit. Quite fortunate, 2 fouls in the space of about 15 seconds not to go in the book. You have to be careful a little bit. Again, you know, it just stoked up the atmosphere in the stadium yet again from the home supporters and the away supporters.
And you can hear marching all together once again. Let's get that team news from our 3 o'clock kickoff in the Premier League. Wolves against Forest with Ian Downter.
Thanks, Nice. Just one change for Wolverhampton Wanderers. Jose Sarr back in goal after a back spasm to replace Daniel Bentley. But Steve Cooper makes 7 changes to the Nottingham Forest starting 11 from that which was flawed at Fulham in midweek. Only Murillo, Toffolo, Mangala and Ilanga survived from that starting 11. Me and Perry Groves on commentary, 3 o'clock kickoff at Molineux. Wolves against Nottingham Forest.
Thanks, Dan. Leeds looking to break here. A second goal, you feel, will win it for them. And it's Peru in full flight, wide towards Nonto. Right-hand side, he drills it in. It's turned over the top brilliantly by Waldstedt. And it will be a corner kick for Leeds.
Well, fantastic move from a Leeds United perspective. Worked the ball really well over to this right-hand side. Good play from Peru. When it falls to Nonto, head down, just gets his laces through it. But what a save from Leopold Waldstedt. Absolutely fantastic to keep them in the game.
Corner kick for Leeds, under the big screen on the far side. And it will be taken by Crescencio Somerville. And it's an in-swing, a high to the far post, fisted clear by Waldstedt. And now Gray finding Nonto again, who can attack the penalty area down the right. Nonto comes in field, stumbles away from the challenge of Wharton. Kamara. Now Crescencio Somerville again, looking to go deep into the penalty area. Pulls it back. Peru's shot was deflected. And it falls kindly for Waldstedt to gather.
Oh, it's brilliant, isn't it, from Leeds United. Working the ball really well from Nonto over to Somerville on that left-hand side. Shows great pace to get away from his marker. And Pirro's eyes lit up, didn't he? Super little pullback. Made nice contact with it. Little slight deflection. Took all the sting out of it. But that's what Leeds United can bring. Don't do anything for 5 to 10 minutes, but then they just spring into life, show some great quality.
16 minutes to play at Ewood Park on Talksport 2. Blackburn Rovers 0, Leeds United 1 on the home of the EFL as Andrew Moran finds Sigurdsson. The flick on, looking for Pickering, who slides right off the pitch into the advertising hoardings on this near side. Picks himself up, but Leeds already on the attack. Gray, excellent ball through towards Somerville! And Crescencio Somerville settles the game for Leeds. Slides on his knees in front of those delirious supporters. Another quality goal from Daniel Farke's side. And they are closing in on the top 2 in the Championship. It is Blackburn Rovers 0, Leeds United 2.
They've certainly been on top over the last 4 to 5 minutes. Leeds United came close on occasions, but again, super play. Worked that ball really well over to the left-hand side, and when the ball falls to Somerville, you're thinking, is he going to take the keeper on? Lovely little give and go, but he's in acres of space. Everybody's arms go up, thinking he's offside. He's looked along the line, keeps himself onside, and that touch out of his feet is absolutely perfect. Dinks it over the top of Waldstedt. This could be game, set and match for Leeds United. Brilliant play, superb goal.
Blackburn heading for their 6th home defeat of the season. A white flare has been lit by those Leeds supporters behind that goal. And Leeds have been clinical. They've not been brilliant. It's not been the sort of day where you're brilliant, but they've scored 2 brilliant goals.
Yeah, they certainly have. And that added bit of quality, that Premier League quality, if you like, what Leeds United have and Blackburn Rovers are searching for, just came to the fore right there with that second goal. Quality play to pick out Somerville, but I have to say he did have too much space when that ball came to him. Lovely little touch out of his feet. Made the goalkeeper come and press and close him down. As soon as he hit the ground, Somerville, his mind was made up, just dink it over the top of Waldstedt, and it was a super finish.
Blackburn fans are leaving in their numbers here. A very soggy trudge back to the town centre for some of them. Leeds 2 up, 14 minutes to play. And that goal from Crescencio Somerville, his 9th of the season, has just released all of the pressure which was building. In terms of anxiety, maybe more than Blackburn Rovers' actual play, but when you're only 1 up away from home, playing into a gale, you will always have that fear in the back of your mind that something could go wrong. But once that second goal went in, it's a different story now.
Yeah, it certainly is, Nigel, and a play that we were building up before the game. A young man, Archie Gray, with that assist as well, being involved in the play. It was a lovely little give and go, but he wasn't picked up yet again. It was a simple pass to pick out Somerville. But talked about Blackburn pushing players forward, and leaving gaps for Leeds United to capitalise on it. And you've got to do that if you find yourself a goal behind. But when you've got the quality of Somerville and you've already got 8 goals before he's just got his 9th of the season, you know exactly where the ball's going to end up.
Only Southampton have a longer unbeaten run than Leeds, and this will be 7 wins and a draw. And we've got the smell of cordite in our nostrils following the various pyrotechnics let off by the Leeds fans behind that goal. But they have got the smell of blood in their nostrils because they'll be 4 points away from Ipswich, who've got a tough away game coming up today, and automatic promotion is never settled in December.
No, absolutely not. You've got to stay concentrated, focused. They know how long it took them last time they dropped out of the Premier League to jump back in. Want to try and do it a little bit sooner if they possibly can this time around. And they've got the quality, there's no doubt about that. The squad's there, it's ready to go back into the Premier League, but they have to do the hard work this time. The hard yards have got to go in, certainly when coming to places like Ewood Park, where they have got a very good record against Blackburn Rovers. In their away record themselves, Leeds United, I think that's going to be, 4 wins in the last 5 away, which is great reading if you're a Leeds United supporter.
12 minutes to play, Blackburn 0, Leeds 2 on Talksport 2. And Sammy Smodics unable to add to his run of scoring in 5 successive games. Leeds have another free kick, and it will be another yellow card here for a Blackburn player. And it's Hayden Carter who has been penalised, and credit to Jorginho Rutter. He's taken some treatment today, but he always comes bouncing back.
Yeah, he certainly has. Something that we didn't see last season from him too much, but he's certainly bought into what Leeds United are about this season.
Changes for Blackburn. Niall Ennis is coming on, and it's James Hill who is going off. And Jake Garrett, a young academy player, will also come on for Adam Wharton. Garrett comes off the bench for the 6th time this season. But the horse may have bolted here for Blackburn. Callum Britton will slot in at right back, which is his preferred position, with Ennis up front along with Smodics. The Blackburn will remain outside the playoff places following this defeat. And it's been the sort of game where you wouldn't say Leeds have been hugely better than them, but they've just picked them off.
And it's that added quality that they've got in their squad, Nigel. I think that's the difference between the two teams. It's been a really good game of football, I have to say. Both sides really going at each other, end to end. But the quality in the final third has come from the away side, Leeds United, on 2 occasions. Super finish from Dan James. And an even better finish, you have to say, from Somerville, just to basically see this game out.
Now Smodics for Blackburn, 25 yards out, finding Tronstadt, who looks to his right, and he finds Britton. And Blackburn continuing to try and build patiently, but the clock and the scoreboard is against them here, but they do win. Another corner, the challenge coming in from Somerville on the far side. Palace still leading Liverpool, though Liverpool have just equalised. Mohamed Salah has equalised over on Talksport. 1-1 there with 12 minutes to play, and Sunderland have taken the lead against West Brom. Dan Ballard up from the back has opened the scoring at the Stadium of Light. Blackburn corner here, headed towards goal by Sigurdsson. Brilliant save by Meslier, arching his back to tip it over the top.
Yeah, great header, to save from Sigurdsson. Just waiting at the back stick there. Great leap. Just had to angle it towards that top corner. Good save from Meslier.
Blackburn's 13th corner, but it comes to nothing.
Lots of positives, isn't there, when you think about Blackburn? The amount of corners they've had against one of the top sides in the Championship, the amount of chances they've created themselves. And that's certainly something that John Dahl Thomason will touch on at the end of this game, if the game does finish the way it is right now. Absolutely. But also, on the negative side of things, they've got to get Smodics involved in the game a lot more than they have done today. He's a marked man. He's going to have to get used to it as the season goes on, because they know he's a threat in this Blackburn Rovers team. And I think John Dahl Thomason's got to look at that and just think, how can we get him involved in the game a little bit more when the backs are against the wall.
Jayden Anthony will be on shortly for Leeds. You would imagine that Archie Gray may be the player who comes off as Blackburn come forward now with Britton. It's pulled back to Garrett on the edge of the penalty area. He goes down.
Wow.
Bobby Madley says no penalty. Now Tronstadt. Britton with a great ball in, almost found Smodic at the far post, but it was Spence lunging in with what was probably a goal-saving challenge.
Well, two massive calls in the game, I have to say, from Bobby Madley, because that looked like a foul to me. You don't go down in the box too easily if you've got a chance of getting your shot away, and it certainly looked that way for me. But when the ball then carried on and they played it out to the right-hand side, Smodic has got a great chance as that ball comes into the box. Just seen a replay of it now. I mean, there's contact there. There's no contact with the ball. And I know we haven't got it, and I don't really like speaking about it, if I'm completely honest with you, Nigel. But if we had VAR, that would have been looked at, and that's a big call for the referee to make. But the opportunity straight after that was Smodic. Is he brave enough? Does he want to make enough contact on that just to put the ball in the back of the net and give Blackburn Rovers a lifeline? That might have been the two big chances they've been waiting for.
Andrew Moran comes off for Blackburn. And Dylan Markande, the former Spurs youngster, comes on. And it's Crescencio Somerville who comes off. So, slight change in shape for Leeds, with Jayden Anthony going on the left-hand side of midfield. And we have 7 minutes to play. Blackburn fans leaving in their droves now, with Leeds 2 up.
Well, Daniel Farker will be thrilled to pieces in that technical area. Not an easy place to come to, Blackburn, albeit their home record isn't fantastic, but it's either win or lose. It certainly looks like they're going to have an L against their name again this afternoon in the early kick-off on Talksport 2.
Still 1-1 over on Talksport between Palace and Liverpool. Jordan Ayew has also been sent off for Crystal Palace, so they will try and maybe hold on for a point with 10 players there. And it's still Sunderland 1, West Brom 0 elsewhere in the Championship, as Garrett has been caught, and it will be a free kick for Leeds, for Blackburn rather. It was taken quickly, but too quickly for the referee, because he wanted to book Ethan Ampadu.
Yeah, he's done really well, hasn't he, Garrett, since he came onto the field? Asked a lot of questions. He was the player who was involved in the penalty shout. And I've got to say, Nigel, I think I've seen it a couple of times now. If a player doesn't make contact with the ball, Garrett's got a chance to get his shot away. He's not going to go to ground. He feels the contact. Bobby Madley's in a perfect position as well to blow his whistle. Really surprising for me.
Free kick, swirled high to the far post, nodded away, and then Kamara manages to take it off the toes of Markande. Coming up at 3 o'clock here on Talksport 2, we have Wolves against Forest. Over on Talksport, Adrian Durham with Game Day Live. All the goals as they go in. The Sunday session with Sam Matterface tomorrow. Busy day, plenty of games in the Premier League and the Women's Super League as well. Manchester United against Bournemouth, Brighton, Burnley and Wolves. Forest coming up here today. And tomorrow, Everton, Chelsea, Fulham, West Ham and Luton against Manchester City will all be featured with Sam and the team. And then on Monday night here on Talksport 2, big game in League One, the game of the season so far, live and exclusive from Fratton Park. It is Pompey against Bolton. Then on Tuesday night, Sunderland against Leeds is the main game here on 2, the home of the EFL. As Blackburn come forward again, but Britton won't catch the ball. Played to him down the right-hand side. It will be a goal kick. Wednesday night, 5:45 here on 2. Red Star Belgrade against Manchester City, followed by Leicester against Millwall. And on Thursday night, in the Europa League, Rangers will travel to Real Betis on match day 6, and Rangers still have work to do in that group. So a busy week coming up, and we'll be featuring Leeds once again. And at the moment, both of the teams involved in that game coming up on Tuesday are heading to victories today, with Sunderland still a goal up on West Brom. 3 minutes to play here. Blackburn 0, Leeds 2. As Jed Spence brings it forward now for Leeds, looks for the 1-2 but doesn't get it, and Blackburn will clear. And it's quickly played wide to the far side by Ennis. Down the line for Smodic, right-hand side. Sliding out to make the challenge is Rodham, but he won the ball coming from behind. And it will be a throw-in to Blackburn in front of those departing Blackburn fans walking in front of the Riverside stand.
Yeah, a little bit frustrated, aren't they? Sam Smodic's getting a bit frustrated there. Thought it was a foul. Just showed too much to the ball. Got to try and shield it a little bit better.
Now Spence tries to bring the ball away for Leeds, but he's lost out. Smodic with a cross from wide on the right-hand side, but it's over the top and it will be a goal kick.
It sums his performance up a little bit, doesn't it? Sam Smodic's bit of frustration.
It's the player
in
of
that.
the month curse.
Yeah, I suppose it is. But he'll come back, no doubt about it. 14 goals this season. You do an average game, let's say a poor game, but an average game. There's no doubt over the coming weeks, certainly the Christmas period, he'll be the go-to man yet again to get the goals for Blackburn Rovers.
Well, Ilya Gruev is coming on here for Joel Peru. And Wilfred Nonto's number went up. He didn't come on that long ago. And he's looking to say, what, really? Well, Peru comes off. It will be Matteo Joseph, the England Youth International, who is coming on. Well, Nonto's name has been given on the public address, but it's actually Jorginho Rutter who's going off. They got the numbers wrong.
He's a relieved man, isn't he, Wilfred Nonto?
He would have been entitled to go off in a huff if that had been the case.
Absolutely. Oh, my goodness.
But it's Matteo Joseph who comes on. Signed from Espanyol. Brought up in Spain, but an England under-20 international. Of course, no Patrick Bamford on the Leeds bench today due to illness. Into the 90th minute. And really, the game won by Leeds with that second goal from Crescencio Somerville, and Blackburn have had very little in response. And I think Jon Thomason will be disappointed, really, at the lack of threat in the second half. The header from Sigurdsson turned over the top by Meslier, but that's about it, really.
Yeah, it is, Nigel. I have to say, I think that second goal, absolutely, it took the sting out of the game, didn't it? Big penalty shout for Blackburn Rovers, I'm sure. When you interview Jon Thomason away from the pitch at the end of the game, it will get a mention. Yeah, absolutely, because here we see that it was an opportunity for his side to get back into the game.
Sigurdsson chasing a ball forward on this near side, but it's guided out of play by Archie Gray, and it will be a goal kick for Leeds. Still 1-1 between Crystal Palace and Liverpool into the 89th minute there, live on Talksport 2. And there'll be a minimum of 7 minutes of added time here. And that's the cue for many people around us in the main stand, Blackburn fans, to think time to head for the car park.
Yeah. Make it easier for us, Nigel, at the end of the game to get out the ground, which is a very difficult one, I have to say. But they'll be frustrated, disappointed. Been to Ewood Park, 10 times this season now. They've only seen 4 wins. They have seen some entertaining football, but I think overall, if you're looking at a side that have got maybe aspirations of getting themselves into those playoff positions, your home form has got to be better.
And Leeds at the moment have that happy knack of winning away from home, and they are unbeaten at home so far this season. And Blackburn have had 11 shots in the game, but only 2 on target, and that really is the problem for them. Leeds have had 8, 4 on target. Of course, we saw an excellent save from Wellstead when it was only 1-0. And although Blackburn have had more of the ball and more passes, Leeds have looked the more dangerous team because they've got offensive players in form. And Smolix, of course, has been in incredible form, but I wouldn't say it's out of character, that's unfair, but it's not his job to score that many goals, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, no, absolutely, and if he is going to be the top goal scorer, which it looks like he is for Blackburn this season, Nige, then they have to get the ball to him. And go back to that stat that you touched on, I think it was just after half-time. Blackburn have had 28 touches in Leeds United's area. Now, that kind of tells its own story, doesn't it, that they've not been clinical enough, or the final ball's just not had that little bit of quality. Because Leeds United, albeit the away side, have had 17, but they've done what they needed to do, which is put the ball in the net twice, which is going to see them see out this game. Another 3 points away from home, putting pressure on Ipswich Town and Leicester City at the moment, who are above them. and certainly putting pressure on the top sides.
Sunderland 2 up against West Brom. Dan Neil with the second goal at the Stadium of Light. Fist punt from Mickey Gray here. And that's a big moment for Sunderland. Of course, under the interim charge of Mike Dodds today. Tony Mowbray has departed. And as so often happens, the team have won. And there's a chase forward here for Joseph for Leeds, but he's just held up. He then rather careers into the challenge, but he has got the free kick. And it was Scott Wharton who's been penalised.
Yeah, well, this is what they have to do now, Leeds United. Just kill the game. See out these extra 7 minutes that's been added on at the end of this football match. Keep the ball in Blackburn's area. Just put the ball in the corners. And you'll hear a huge roar at the end of this game from over 7,500 away supporters.
Brandon Thomas Asante's pulled one back for West Brom. 2-1 there into the closing stages at the Stadium of Light. And Liverpool have taken the lead in the first minute of added time over on Talksport at Selhurst Park. Harvey Elliott. 2 late goals for Liverpool coming from behind. Crystal Palace 1, Liverpool 2. That's what champions do.
Yeah.
Or potential champions.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, they've done it on a couple of occasions, haven't they, Liverpool? And it's a big month as well, December and certainly January.
Well, back-to-back games now, certainly.
Ticking away and keep picking up points, Nigel. That's what they've got to do.
Of course, they did it against Fulham. 2 very late goals. Comfortable win in the end against Sheffield United. And then, seemingly, doing something similar against the Crystal Palace team, who are in free fall at the moment.
Yeah, it doesn't look great reading, does it, for Crystal Palace and Roy Hodgson? I know he came in at the end of last season and worked wonders to keep them in the Premier League. And you probably think he's the right man to do it again. But I think if you're Crystal Palace, you certainly want to be looking up the table rather than over your shoulder and looking what's going on behind you.
We played 4 of the 7 minutes here at Ewood Park. Leeds leading by 2-0. And the home areas of Ewood Park are rapidly emptying now. They have a home game here against Bristol City coming up on Tuesday. And of course they were beaten 3-1 by Sheffield Wednesday in controversial circumstances, the bottom club last week. They did get an apology for the mistake made in the build-up to the second goal for Sheffield Wednesday, but that was a disappointing loss. Of course, Yondal Thomason was sent off in that game for protesting about the goal, which they then received an apology about, but dissent is another matter.
A little bit too late, isn't it? And they're not going to change the decision for Yondal Thomason after that. Frustrates you sometimes, doesn't it, as a manager? You just want everything to run smoothly, but when it doesn't, you get a little bit frustrated.
But the Leeds fans enjoying their afternoon here in the rain, and it will be a very happy trip back over the Pennines or wherever they have to go back home to. Leeds, of course, have fans drawn from all 4 points of the compass, and invariably on a Saturday afternoon you'll see a minibus full of Leeds fans on the motorway from somewhere, and not necessarily Yorkshire.
Yeah, great support, isn't it?
And they've made the noise inside. Really, they've generated the atmosphere inside this stadium today, particularly in the second half.
Yeah, they certainly have. They've got behind the team, which they always seem to do away from home. Travel in their droves, don't they? It's fantastic to see. And I remember when I was a player there, Nigel, on the 2 occasions I went to that club, it was just absolutely fantastic. They love their football. I think they're probably hoping that they can bounce straight back and get themselves back into that Premier League.
Leeds will try and clear with Gruev on the far side, down the line for Joseph. And he was looking to thread it further through towards Jed Spence, but it's gathered by Wolstead, the Blackburn goalkeeper. And we are into the final minute of the original 7 here. Still 2-1 to Sunderland at the Stadium of Light, but they're slightly behind this game. And Blackburn play it long downfield again. And it's Ennis who's got space inside the penalty area, but that's because he was offside.
Yeah, just creeped into an offside position there as well. But even getting there as well, you know, you talk about chances that Blackburn had created. Could he have taken that shot on, not knowing that he was in an offside position with his left foot, tried to open his body up a little bit? But the impressive Pascal Struijk, I have to say, has been absolutely superb today, hasn't he? Great defending yet again.
He and Roden have had a really good game.
Yeah, they have. And I think it's great, that experience that they've got in the back line when things aren't going your way. Yeah, I think if we're certainly picking a man of the match, Nigel, it's going to come from one of those two players, because I think they've been rock solid at the back, Leeds United, when they've needed to be.
Liverpool still leading, and Leeds can celebrate another away victory, and their 7,000 supporters rise to acclaim their team. It's a 6th home defeat of the season for Blackburn Rovers, but Leeds really on the march. 7 wins and a draw, and it's the sort of run which has begun to put pressure on the top two, and it was their clinical nature, a goal in each half, which won the game in some dreadful conditions here at Ewood Park today. Dan James and Crescencio Somerville with the goals. It is finished. Blackburn Rovers 0, Leeds United 2.
Thank you very much, Nigel Adderley, alongside co-commentator, former Sunderland defender Mickey Gray. Mickey, we talked in the first half about a goal from that front four with Leeds United that you highlighted before the game. That second goal from Somerville basically just kind of broke Blackburn's hearts. It wasn't, there was still a quarter of the game left to go, and fans started streaming out when that happened. And it was all a case of them losing possession and Leeds just countering on it very, very quickly.
Yeah, you're completely right, John. It took the sting out of the game, which obviously Daniel Farke would have been hoping for from his side. They were the second best in the second 45 minutes up until that point. Blackburn created some really good opportunities, just weren't clinical enough in front of goal, and it's all about putting the ball in the back of the net. And that front four of Leeds United, they're something else, aren't they? I think they're probably better than the Championship. They've got to prove it on a weekly basis, and they're certainly doing that right now. 2 great finishes either half. But that second one from Somerville, a little dink over the top of Wallstead, was absolutely superb after a very good move.
Very good indeed. Leeds United then closed the gap between them and second place Ipswich Town to 4 points. Obviously Ipswich playing at 3. Leeds United on this run, if this continues, are they going to be involved in that top battle? It feels like they're pulling away now. See what Southampton do, of course, but they're really putting themselves in a great position. Maybe a little bit too early when you talk about momentum for this season.
Well, look, there's nothing like being there too early, John. There really isn't. Momentum, yes, of course, is a key thing, and they've certainly got that right now, coming into a really difficult period, December and January time, and they've got great form. And with the players that they've got, they're always going to cause, any side that they come up against, they're going to cause them problems.
We obviously heard before that Blackburn had lost that game last weekend to the bottom side, Sheffield Wednesday, and another loss for them now, 2 in a row. Still a lot of injury concerns with them. What do they need to do to get back on track?
Yeah, it's difficult for John, isn't it? I think it's a young squad anyway, and with the amount of injuries that they've got, I think they'll just be hoping that they can get some of the players back as quick as they possibly can. And when they can do that, they're a very good team, Blackburn Rovers. But I think they just need that consistency. I think that's a good word for them, John, I have to say, because week in, week out, they play some good football, but they just die a death within the last 10 or 15 minutes of games, and you always look like you can score goals against them. And if you can sort that out, and they can have a push around this period that we're in right now, they can be a playoff candidate. There's no question about that. Just as I'm speaking now, Daniel Farke has just gone across the 7,500 Leeds United supporters, kind of punching his fist towards them, and they're reacting to it, which is brilliant to see. They made it today, the away supporters. Great atmosphere in the stadium, and what a support they've got.
Yeah, safe trip home to all of them. Very quickly, Mickey, we know you're a bit of a style icon. A word on the Leeds United kit?
Well, I'm not too sure if I would have got away with that in my time when we dyed blonde hair and everything, but I'll give it a go. Who cares?
It's a salmon pink with some kind of yellow detailing. Rather you than me. Thank you very much, Mickey Gray and Nigel Adderley. It's finished Blackburn 0, Leeds United 2 at Ewood Park as Daniel Farke's side closed the gap to second to just 4 points. Next over on Talksport, Adrian Durham brings you the goals as they go in on Game Day Live. Next here, though, we'll build up to a massive game in the Midlands as Wolves face Nottingham Forest. Live and exclusive commentary coming up here on Talksport 2.
Talksport